course, as we begin our game, I have a very important announcement. Welcome, our wonderful new player, Mia. Welcome to the game.
Yay!
Hi.
Yay!
Nia.
It's actually
Uh,
Naya. It's
Naya.
Naya,
confusing.
I'm
My
sorry.
parents threw two
Apologies.
vowels
Welcome,
next to
Naya.
each other. No, you're good.
Naya, well, welcome to the game, Naya.
Thank you.
That's probably the last time I'll call you that because I stick to character names. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, welcome. And for the sake of our wonderful new player, I will be doing an extended recap of um, of our story so far. So let's get to it. And as always, let me know if something's wrong with the settings or the screen share, but I think everything should be working fine. So, I think I'm going to do this recap from the perspective of our wonderful new characters wandering on down the road. So, many tales have begun to spread around Tal'Dorei. None eclipse the fame of Vox Machina, the great and heroic party that had, stopped Thordack, Vecna, all kinds of good stuff. Nothing could eclipse those great numbers, but there are some new kids in town that everybody's been talking about. The Aurora Concordant has been making waves left and right. As you've journeyed across the continent, you've heard in Westruun how they ended up saving the whole town from these horrible nightmares and child kidnappings that were going on. Saved the day there. Saved the local archmage as well. Some stories about how they slew an entire undead army single-handedly. The bards like to tell tales. How much of it's true, anyone can tell. But the point is they're drawing a lot of traction. And they're also in Emon. And you've heard Emon is the place to go if you're going to make your legend, if you're going to make some money. It's the place to be. It's the center of what's happening. So you make your way to the City of Fellowship, where rumor has it they're about there too, making waves and fame of all kinds. And that's where we'll start the game. So, coming in from the East Gate, you've been wandering across the countryside, our wonderful new player, whose name and description will keep a secret for the time being. And you finally start to pass through tons of farmland, and eventually into like these small little like not shanty towns, but humbler towns that surround the massive 20-foot tall stone walls that surround the great city of Fellowship, which you are seeing for the very first time. And as you come through the East Gate, the sprawling Abadar's Promenade district opens up before you. The city grounds are marble. The river runs right through the city district. There's bridges that cross upon it. Very exciting place to be. Just to give you a little bit more. And you come into immediately an open market district, a massive bazaar that dominates all of this eastern portion of the city, and look up to see the massive cloud top district Skyreach Castle. It towers over the entire cityscape. What would you do with yourself as you enter the city? And you know what? To start us off, actually, my apologies. Why don't you tell us what any passerby might see of this new character?
Well, any passerby would probably see, they probably wouldn't know what she is immediately. They see teal blue skin, kind of darker greenish blue hair that's tied into a top knot kind of at the top of her head. The entire sides and back of her head are shaved. And then she kind of has on like this canvas and leather, kind of like traveling clothes with two different tattoos that go down either arm. On one side are a whole bunch of clouds and different shades of blue, and on the other side are these blue and white lines that kind of swirl and wrap around her arm that terminate into three snakes' head that kind of wrap around her wrist. She has a shield over her back with a scimitar crossed on one side, and she has a sickle hanging down on her side. She's she's a little short. With the boots and the heels that she's wearing, she's probably around 5'5", 5'6", but the heels are definitely about an inch and a half.
Excellent. Fantastic. Um, and so you are a unique member of this city, most certainly. I've got your mini up, so we can take a little peek at the mini here. Very striking. Um, excellent. Excellent, excellent. Yep, armed and equipped, clearly an adventurer. You are not out of place here in the city of Fellowship. People sort of pass you by and regard you politely. It seems that a lot of people, this isn't always the case, stranger individuals in new places, but this seems to be a rather open place. And while like about half of the population is humans, you do see plenty of dwarves and elves here and there, and a menagerie of other races meander on by, lifting crates, operating their own shops. And now I will return to the question of what would you like to do?
She'd probably, if she saw a market, she'd probably start walking that direction, kind of trying to see if she can find an inn or rooms for the night or just somewhere to kind of get acclimated to the city.
Absolutely. You go looking around and you're going to see a couple of things. The first, you know what? We're going to let the dice decide. Let me get your first roll in here. I want you to roll me any even-sided dice and tell me if it's evens or odds.
Even-sided dice, so just whatever if the number's even or odd?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. It's odd.
Odd. Okay. You were looking for a tavern, an inn. You get the name of one, in fairness. You get the name of a very famous tavern. It's called the Laughing Lamia Inn, and is reputed to be sort of the great, like, if you're beginning your adventure, this is where you go. This is sort of where the god, the change bringer, sort of might have a stake because of, this is the beginning of a new adventure. That's her whole deal. But before you get there, you find yourself looking down the street. I want you to roll me a history check to see if you know what you're looking at.
Okay. Character sheet. History. Ooh. 4.
A 4. You don't know. You don't know what this place is, but it catches your eye because it's impossible not to. You see this single-story shop on the corner of a street, and it has very fine things in the window. Whole menagerie of different items. You see this purple silver gilded vest. You see this long stiletto dagger, bottles of potions. The entire shop is pinks and purples and has long sort of purple drapery around the side, and a big sign of a unicorn on it with some words on it. And it's just a very striking shop like nothing else you've ever seen.
I think she'd walk towards that immediately.
All right, you walk towards the shop and you're going to see that the door is actually a series of gold and black beads, like the 60s basically. Instead of an actual door, there's beautiful potted plants outside. And the sign reads, Gilmore's Glorious Goods. Weird.
Interesting. She's definitely intrigued. She's definitely going to go inside just to kind of see, just because she hasn't ever really seen a shop like this before, and so she's immediately like, what is that?
Absolutely, fantastic. You push through the beads and look inside and are amazed and astonished to see that though it is a single-story building on the outside, it is 3 stories on the inside somehow. There are indeed 3 levels with all different types of sections of stuff. There are potions, scrolls, swords, armor, capes, cloaks, rings, you name it. There's all manner of really fine, cool-looking goods, and of course the themes of deep blues and pinks and purples continues on the interior. And other adventurers such as yourself look around. You don't see any shop proprietors as of yet.
Okay.
But I am going to say that you see one. I want you to roll me Let's see who's shopping at Gilmore's today. um, roll me a d6, and if you land on a
Okay.
6, reroll.
Okay. I landed on a 5.
And you rolled who I liked for it. You see this dwarf with an excellent mustache, if I do say so, and a staff at his side, going through this section that says like magical inks and paper. Glint, would you like to describe what you look like? You're muted, my friend.
There we go. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, so Glint has that sort of dwarven agelessness, which is to say that dwarves kind of come out looking about 50 and stay that way for the next several hundred years. So he could be, 40, he could be 100, who knows? But in the middle between 4 and 5 feet tall, sort of like a deeper red hair, nicely groomed beard, kind of like well handled hair, dressed in a kind of heavy coat that's hanging with like loose sleeves. You see component pouches. You see a belt at the side hanging like multiple wands in a little sheath for them. You see multiple books, like both hanging at his belt in different cases, and also like books and scrolls protruding out of the pack on his back. He has a bone staff with a dragon's head carved at the top, as well as just very bright green eyes that are very inquisitive as he goes over the various goods of the store.
And my question to you is, do you have your, shall we say, child with you?
I do.
Oh, no.
You do?
I do.
And you see standing next to the dwarf, in complete physical contrast, this like probably like 6'3", incredibly slender cloaked individual, and you don't. That's pretty much all you see as of now. Sort of standing at his side, almost almost subservient.
Okay.
But he's like the first. He's like the first person right in front of you.
I mean, seeing a store like this, you're kind of just assume, kind of looking at him, that he works here, just because he seems to have like all of the things.
He has the barista energy.
Right. She's not too worried about the figure yet, but she's definitely kind of like keeping an eye on him, and she definitely kind of walk up and not necessarily like tap him on the shoulder, but just kind of raise her voice a little bit so he can hear and say, "Hey, do you work here at all or no?"
Well, I spent enough time to. I apologize. I don't think we've met. My name's Glint Tinbuckle. I think you are a new face here, actually.
I would. I'm a new face to the entire town, actually. My name's Qiro. You said it was Glint?
Mm-hmm. The very same.
And you said you don't work here, but you know enough about here to work here, right?
Correct. I am something of a regular. If you're looking for something, I'm happy to help. So, if you're looking for a tall shelf, we might have to team up for it.
Not so much looking for something, is looking for someone at the moment. I was hoping to find somebody that worked here. Like I said, I just got to town and I was looking to see if I could find work, and this seemed like a pretty interesting place, so.
That's a fine choice to make. This is something of a premier store for magical items and components. Are you something of an adventurer, a mercenary, or what is your line of work?
Well, adventuring, not so much. I mean, I guess you could count what I just made. I guess you could count the journey that I just made. Adventuring, mercenary. I mean, the closest thing I know is that they kill people, and I haven't really done that yet, so I don't think so. I'm more so of a, well, I guess the term you could use is sellsword, only because I have a sword, well, a couple actually, and I do work for money occasionally. I was more so just offering up my services in a more acquiring sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd be happy to ask around with you. I mean, I work with an adventuring company and the Inquiry, but if you're looking for something along those lines, I'd be happy to see if I can get a hold of my companions and see maybe if we have anything on the docket. Beyond that, I could refer you to a few people if you like.
That would be great. Like I said, I'm new to town, and if I'm being honest with you, I haven't really been in Tal'Dorei that long, kind of just long enough to go from place to place. So I don't really know Emon or Tal'Dorei very well. I was just trying to find, like I said, somewhere to work. I mean, you said you were a part of an adventuring party. I didn't know if you were looking for somebody else or if you needed something found or information gained. I can do that for you.
That's a good question. We did just recently lose a member of ours, not in anything violent, simply a parting of ways, as they had some prior things called them a separate direction from us. Do you, will you carry blades? I assume you're something of a close quarters fighter of some sort. Would you consider yourself acquainted with the front line, or more of a skirmisher sort of situation?
Front line of sorts, I guess. I mean, you're not incorrect. I much prefer being up close and personal than sitting 50 yards away. But I mean, that's just kind of the way that I was raised and the way that I was taught. And then she'll kind of look over, because this has now become a full-blown conversation, and whatever that figure is still hasn't talked. And she'll just kind of gesture. Is he with you, or is he?
Yes. This is my son Gumbo.
Son.
At this point, like, he's kind of standing behind Glint, so like you haven't really noticed him, but now that you've like politely referred to him, you see under his hood, and you see this very sleek, gaunt face that is like ever so slightly reflective, like polished bone, but is just like this gaunt, long, almost featureless, pristine white face with like no eyes. Yes, I am.
Right.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And then she'll look back down at the roof and just go, alright. So about a job, do you know if any places in town are looking to hire, or... And now that she's kind of been introduced and now that she's kind of seen it, she keeps like flipping back and forth between looking at
Jack Skellington.
Everything. Yes.
Yeah.
And she's very careful. Like she doesn't just outwardly stare at him, but it's very much like her eyes are darting back and forth.
Yeah, and Gumbo is very much like just like staring at you, very like excitedly, inquisitively. It's a little disturbing.
You know, now that I think on it, actually, I think I have some work you might be interested in. A friend of mine has been training to enter a tournament, and unfortunately, none of the rest of us are all too versed in how to hold our own in the sort of combat that he prefers.
Right.
Would you be interested in coming on as a potential sparring partner?
What kind of combat are we talking here?
Well, Zavog's a
Not that I'm
ranger
picky.
by trade, but he's looking to fight in an upcoming tournament in the city.
I'd be up for it, just so long as no one's losing any limbs or anything.
No, nothing lethal. And if you lose one, we can probably figure out how to put it back on.
Right.
That was a joke.
Gumbo will
It
say,
hasn't happened
"Father
yet."
is very good at replacing limbs that have gone awry."
Well, that is actually true. I could make you one if you wanted, but let's
No,
ideally
people.
not have that happen.
Right. I'm not in the she'll look up at Gumbo, just be like, I'm not in the business of losing limbs, but thank you for the suggestion, and then looks back down and say, as long as you're sure that I won't lose anything, important to me. I mean, as far as all you're after, then I'm more than happy.
Oh, you have my word. We're not practicing like barbarians, swinging live steel at each other. At least I hope not. And we have a...
I mean, I've done that before in a less friendly context, but I have done that before if that's what you need.
Well, ideally, you should be quite safe, and we have a damn good healer on hand as well.
Good. Well, yeah, if a sparring partner's all you're after, I can certainly do that for you.
Delightful. I'd offer you an address, but you're new in town. I can play guide if you like, and then show you the way to a base of operations.
That'd be wonderful, actually.
Wonderful. Well, right. I don't think I need this rose quartz. That isn't too useful. Let me
Here,
wrap
that's
up.
the stone of love, Father. Are you hoping for love today?
I almost, well, actually, I'm always hoping for love in the cosmic context, but not really as a matter of daily goals. Right.
If you need your love stone thing, I can wait outside. That's perfectly fine with me.
I'm just restocking on some abjuring reagents. Give me maybe 3 minutes tops, and I'll be right out.
Yeah,
I
of
don't know what
course.
cosmic love is, but I know I want it.
You think you want everything?
Yes,
Child.
that's true. I want it all.
And
Sorry, he's new.
at that laugh, she'll say, "I'll be outside," and she'll turn around and way faster than she walked in, just go outside, and then just kind of take a little left and lean up against the building, and definitely kind of think to herself about what the conversation she was just a part of.
Yeah. Of note as well, while you were speaking with Glint, it became apparent as he was facing you that there is like a branded mark inked into his forehead, in like jagged lines of ink that almost seems reminiscent of an eye pattern.
Did it look like it was carved in, or did it look like it was just kind of pressed in or tattooed in, or
Pressed in and then probably inked over afterwards.
Okay. I mean, she definitely thinks on it for a second, but she's seen weirder.
Yeah. And yeah, true to his word, after a few minutes of restocking on some things for his component pouch, Glint will hobble on out the doors, tying up some of the various pouches of his pack, making sure everything's buttoned and secured. Right, so we have something of a base of operations near the docks. I'd be happy to take
Near the
you there.
docks.
One of ours has family in town. They run a delightful inn called the Rousing Spark. I'd recommend checking it out sometime. The dishes are delightful. I was going to say to die for, but I think that might give the wrong implications.
I've heard worse sayings where I'm from.
Where are you from, if you don't mind my asking?
Across the sea, over a mountain a little bit.
Oh, very far away then. Like Wildmount, or
Thereabouts.
Interesting.
I'll tell you what. If you're curious, Glint, and I gotta ask, Qiro, am I saying your character right?
Yeah.
Qiro. Does Qiro have an accent?
Yes, she does. So she kind of has like a really faint southern drawl. There are definitely certain words where you can hear it more. But she, her voice isn't necessarily like very much when you see, like when you look at her voice is kind of like when you look at her voice is what you imagine, but there definitely is like a little southern twang at the end of certain words.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah, given your your background, Glint, the only thing you recognize about the accent is that you don't know where it's from, and that's what you get out of the accent, unfortunately. So you don't think Tal'Dorei?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm from Draghammer myself. I don't know if you've been or know of it. Fine Dovin city. Lots of underground construction, mining shafts, the sort of thing. Excellent craftsmen. I'd recommend visiting sometime. It's opened up quite a bit more since I was young.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever been to an underground city before, and that's what that sounds like. So it sounds like it'd be a nice place to visit, briefly.
All right, so you guys begin to walk. I want to get a quick look at the rest of our party members just to see where we may or may not run into the rest of you. Real quick, where do you guys think you're at today? Are you guys just hanging around Bastion. What do you guys have? You mean?
I have a question, actually. So, to be clear, this is the day of New Dawn, yeah?
Today is the day of New Dawn, yes.
All right. And are normal governments or businesses and such open? Or is it like, what is open if it's a holiday?
Not much. There's a couple of shops that are running basic services. Gilmore's is open for whatever reason, obviously. But yeah, like the majority of shops and markets have shut down, but there are some people who are like trying to benefit from that. So major establishments are mostly closed, other than taverns and inns for the most part.
So, not a day to go to the palace, then.
You definitely get the sense that your local government leaders are enjoying some family time.
Absolutely. Something I think I'd be hanging out around the Bastion. There is one thing that I want to do, but you can go through everybody else. She's going to grow a tree if she can.
Got it. Bastion. Nyx, what about you? Are you frolicking about the city? Bastion, where are you going?
Nyx is hanging out in the Bastion, brewing some stuff, probably.
Very nice. Ember, what about you, my friend?
Is probably at the Spark buying mom some sleep late time because she was up late,
Gotcha.
potentially up very late, depending on how well that went.
Got it. Admittedly, it didn't. From what you understood, it didn't go that well. But not in a bad way. In a chivalrous.
It's a mother son thing. It's a don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to all of that. But yes, absolutely, you're giving her a little sleeping time. Fantastic. Sarvel, what about you, my friend?
Yeah, if it's a bit of a holiday, I imagine he would probably want to get some training in today, but if things aren't kicking off in the normal fashion at the Gods Brawl, he's probably still at the Bastion.
I think less than half of the usual people are there, like actually like working out. You better believe your major competitors there practicing anyway. So you could be there if you wanted to.
Yeah, he'd probably be there. I imagine during these days in town, he probably goes there for a period of time during the day and either splits that in half or, comes back after a chunk of time. Probably two a days, I would imagine. So he probably cuts it in half.
Absolutely. Also, by the way, happy 155th day of traveling together. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we'll say that you've been there since the crack of dawn, and maybe you might take a break soon, or continue the rest of your days here. In the meantime, yeah, I suck at names, but I'm gonna get there one day. Qiro and Glint. Yeah, you guys go wandering along, and to let you know some of the things that you'll see along the way, you're gonna make your way into the central district, which I'm buzzing over to as we speak. Not the cemetery district, the central district. There it is. You find this very large, big, beautiful residential district within the walls of Emon. You see many merchants, traveling traders, ship captains. This seems to be like where they call home, sort of like the middle upper class, if you will, at the foot of the great Cloudtop District Mountain. Thousands of personal homes, tenants, guild halls, all shapes and sizes reside here. Until Glint sort of guides you down a sort of walkway that goes down the side of the river all the way to essentially the back of Emon, sort of tucked behind the Cloudtop District. And you're going to be in the famed Port of Emon. There we are. Border on the west of the Osmit Sea, which I don't think you've sailed before. It's a little out of your wheelhouse. So it's kind of cool. Maybe
walked through the central district, walked through, like you said, the upper class neighborhoods, and then we've kind of hit the port.
Yeah, so if you're looking at the map on Roll20, I'll put a little arrow there to show you kind of your path. There at 14 is where you met Glint. And
Okay.
then you continue down here, making your way all the way around the mountain. And now you're finding yourself sort of entering the port. You're going to end up about central edge of the port.
Okay.
Cool. But yes, as you enter the port, you look out at the big, beautiful Osmond Sea for the first time. It is a wondrous thing, but perhaps even more wondrous is the vast port itself, where you imagine thousands of gold pieces worth of goods flow through every single day, and well over 100 ships are at port. You see no shortage of sailors, of crewmen, maybe even some pirates. Perhaps this is kind of your wheelhouse. This is kind of.
I was gonna say, depending on how much Glint's paying attention, like Qiro, she very much is trying to keep herself like even keel, but like walking through that upper class neighborhood, she kind of looked. It was a mix between like amazed and then also slightly uncomfortable. And then when she gets to the port after being landlocked for so long, she just kind of like pauses for a second because the sea air hits her, and she finally like you said, like she feel like this. She knows this. She's been here before.
Absolutely. And I gotta say, Glint, I think you would be in a unique position where there's really no role required. You've been around at least one Genasti long enough to recognize his counter. And as she sort of like breathes in that ocean air, and you see the sort of odd, sort of bluish greenish skin, I think it would be very clear to you, given your personal interactions with Ember, that this is a water Genasi, and you've seen a couple variants of Genasi before. So, very cool.
Knowing those two things, he would also probably see she has like they're very, very hard to see. They're not necessarily scales, but they kind of look like little freckles, but they're more blue than the rest of her skin. And then the closer that she kind of gets, they kind of like shine a little bit,
like iridescent almost.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And they just kind of go from like her temples to the bit. Like you can see them because she shaved the back of her head, but they just kind of wrap around the rest of her head and then kind of go down her neck a little bit.
You're something of a closer tie to the sea than most, it looks to me.
You could say that. I definitely grew up next. I definitely grew up next to, and definitely grew up. I was used to having it right next door almost.
Well, I'd like to say that that's maybe a good omen then. That we chose to be so close to it ourselves.
I'd say so.
We have a gentleman with us that's not dissimilar to you. I think you'll get on well.
Interesting. I haven't ever really, well, besides my family, of course, we were always kind of the odd ones out, if you can believe it.
I can. I think you'll find yourself in good company. I've been something of, well, not an outcast necessarily, but something of a loner myself for some time. Things have changed on the better ever since I met the Concordant, so it's been fortunate dealings for me.
Gumbo says, yes, we are very friendly people.
And as comfortable as Qiro got walking, kind of like getting used to, because again, she's not that tall, so Gumbo is definitely like, she definitely has to kind of like look up when she looks at him. As comfortable as she kind of got with both of them, like all three of them walking, she definitely kind of jumps a little bit, because one, she's not used to him standing there, and also she was trying her best to kind of forget how creepy he was. And so there's definitely this moment where she just kind of has to recenter herself, and it doesn't take very long, but she's definitely like, right.
I'd say you get used to him, but no one quite has yet. It's a learning curve.
Oh. I really am trying to be friendly, Father.
You're doing so well.
I don't doubt that. It's just you know what? It's probably, I got used to traveling on my own for a really long time, and so I'm just not used to other people. That's what it is. I'll get used to it. I'll promise.
No, it's okay. I've told that I'm very off-putting. Which doesn't make sense because I don't eat. I've never had pudding.
Right. And she'll just she'll say that and kind of trail off, and then out of the corner of her eye, just look at Glint and go, and just kind of look at him. Because he seems so used to this, and she's very much like, I don't know what to do.
He was, pardon my child, he was born last month.
Last month? And he's already that big?
He's a growing boy.
Growing? Meaning he'll get bigger?
Maybe.
Congratulations!
Rely?
You might.
Congratulations!
I have some things in the work, and thank you. You know how it is. He's really in the 99th percentile.
I sure do.
I'm working on the sending spell as we speak. I mastered
so
the
proud of
lightning
you,
bolt
sir.
last week.
It's a good fundamental and a fine foundation to work on.
Yes, good for theory.
Sorry, I'm
These
a
friends of
wizard by
yours, you
trade.
said one of them was like me?
Yes.
In what sense did you mean?
He has a similar connection to the elements. A genasi, I believe the term is. Though ember is more akin to spark and flame than the sea, but I think it'd be an interesting point to speak on.
Well, Ember sounds interesting, if nothing else.
He's very hospitable.
Ooh, do you hate him because you're watery and he's fire?
Not necessarily yet, but we'll see.
Oh, so you will then. Interesting.
Maybe, maybe not. I'm trying to get out of the habit of hating people before I meet them.
Okay.
I'll let you know how it goes.
I'm still learning about how to hate people best.
Right.
At which point you guys will arrive at your destination. And as you're looking upon it, Corey, I think there's like a moment with Gumbo and Glint where he's like, I really am trying to speak.
No, you're
trying to
doing
get
fine. I understand. It's a learning curve. You'll get better at it with practice. You're just, very new to it.
Learning destructive and life-ending magic is so easy, but talking to people, it's difficult.
Well, think of it this way. Whenever you work on an evocation, you are putting something out into the world, and talking with others is the same thing. You are putting out bits of yourself, but part of that is also receiving information.
Well, thank you for these wisdoms, sire.
I should also maybe get you sunglasses. I think the eyeless thing is throwing people off.
Oh, you think so? That's it's fucking my chances. In the meantime, Qiro, you look upon the final destination, which is this it's this lovely seaside home, which looks a little bit like a repurposed warehouse, but it's still very nice. And out in the center, you see this this garden where crops are being grown, big vegetables and such. You see with this wide brimmed straw hat, classic gardener clothing, the bib with the little. You see this this cow woman. She's this 7 foot tall, kind of voluptuous, humanoid woman, but with long floppy ears and sort of a face that kind of comes out a little bit like a cow nose. And she's definitely a unique individual. And as you come over, she'll sort of look up from her as she's tilling the field a little bit. She'll look over and be like, welcome back, Glint. It's so good to see you, Mr. Glint. How was Gilmore's today?
They were quite well stocked per usual. I was able to get most of what I was looking for, although I'm still out of hematite.
Oh, I don't know what that is, you wizarding taps are so smart. Hey, now, so you got a new friend with you.
I do. This is sorry, is it Qiro or Qiro with the hard enunciation?
Either one works. Is everybody else here this tall?
Everyone's tall to me.
Right. Right.
Well,
yeah.
I'm certainly the tallest in the house, but thank you for saying so, little lady.
Of course. I I'm so sorry. I've just never met anyone quite as tall as you before, and I thought before you that he, gesturing behind her at Gumbo, was going to be the tallest thing that I met today. I'm just readjusting. I'm real sorry if that was rude.
No. Hey, little Gumbo's still growing up. He might get some on me one day. And kind of like pats the skeleton on the head, and he kind of like smiles hauntingly at her.
Do you know if Zavok or Yvain are in?
Well, Zolvok's at the gods, bro. Doing all his training for his big day, but just about everybody else is here, as far as I understand. Oh, Mr. Ember's out at the Rousing Spark. Said something about helping his mom out with the kitchen.
Understandable. I think I
But
might.
Nix is mixing up a batch in the basement like she does, and Yvain's up to something.
Ah, yes, she's making the hard lemonade. I think it was.
Yes, I love the hard lemonade. I got to be careful how much I drink. I almost fell over myself yesterday.
Well, you enjoy yourself out here. I'm going to go see if I can find Yvain for something of an employment situation. I think we have someone with fine potential here.
Oh, welcome to the home. Welcome there, little ladies. It's a great place to work and great people to work for.
Thank you.
At which point, yes, you can all proceed. Glint, are you going into the right bastion or the left bastion, or portion of the bastion, which is belongs to you guys?
Probably the common bastion.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to barge into Yvain's home unannounced.
Yvain!
And you can definitely see now, like so she mentioned before, she's not used to traveling with people, and so you can definitely see it's not so much that she's talking out loud to herself, but she is definitely mouthing things as things are going on. And it's just like, what is going on? What is this? What have I got myself into? And she doesn't say anything to anybody, but it is very like shell shocked, like, what is happening?
I gotta say, I think like a funny off-table note is that we definitely know that Mia can be very easily accepted into some kind of crazy like skeleton cult, is what we're learning. Hey there, guy with a weird skeleton. Yeah, I'll go with you to your house.
Hello, would you like to go with me to a secondary location?
No, we're really nice. We're really nice. I swear we are. But it's maybe not the course of wisdom after this. You probably shouldn't do that.
I have candied apples.
No.
He actually does.
Come into my window, my windowless carriage. White carriage. No. But we appreciate you coming along with the hook. Thank you.
We have a dog you can pet.
that was legendary. I'm gonna actually just say to you guys at this point of like install the door that connects the two places.
Please, and it would always be open.
Yeah,
absolutely. Open the right way. Fuck yeah. Okay, cool. So you walk in, Qiro, to it's a fairly modest entryway, and you follow Glint in. And, you see a number of doors and whatnot. And I think the first character that you are going to be presented by is sitting on the dining room table. You're going to see this black cat, or actually it's a pristine white cat with this single black streak that goes down from its forehead, like all the way down the back to its tail, which turns black. And it's just kind of sitting there perched on the table, kind of looking at you.
Regular sized cat?
Regular sized cat, just looks like the normal cat as far as you can tell.
Not knowing what else to do and not knowing what to expect, she'll just go, hi. She doesn't know if the cat talks, she doesn't know what the cat does, she's just expecting the unexpected.
The cat opens its mouth towards you and goes, meow, and pops off the table and prances down the stairs.
Ah, yes, that's lady.
She'll look down at Glint. She'll look down at Glint and go, so just a regular cat then, right?
Yes, I think she's off to do important business, like cleaning her butthole or whatever it is cats do.
Right. That's usually how that goes.
Oh, I'm gonna just start rolling dice to see who you run into because this place is a menagerie of strange things. Yeah, perfect. So you got and as you like begin to walk, you're like, all right, well, let's get. And you do look down and then see something incredibly weird. You look down to see this like hamster-like bunny rabbit with unicorn horns staring up at you.
Oh, yeah, there it is. And she'll just kind of look over at Glint, just expecting, because you would expect that there's an explanation that follows this.
All right. Sorry, we have something of a menagerie. This is Happy. We also have a dog around. I have a pet bird.
2 questions. Regular dog, regular bird?
Oh, the dog might be a sociopath.
I'm sorry. Forget the second question. New first question. You know what? I'm just gonna let it find me. I'm gonna let it find me. Yep, I'm alright. And then she'll just kind of like sidestep the hamster and go, sorry. And then just she's fully expecting that this will be the weirdest house that she enters her entire life. And so she's just fully expected that everything that she could have ever imagined is going to pop out at some point. And she's just kind of bracing herself.
Quiro's just like the most chill person. He's just rolling with it. Because...
Like,
don't brace yourself, just go with it. Just go with it. Just relax, it'll be easier.
Far. She was half sure Gumbo was going to kill her. She's like, you know what? It is what it is. I walked in here by myself. All right, let's go.
Qiro accepts her fate and just lets them come what may.
It'll be what it'll be.
It'll be what it'll be. Yeah, and you go to start walking down the stairs, and I'll say at that point, your owl just will like indiscriminately just like fly in. Glint, you can say his name, and just this owl just like lands on one of the chairs nearby and just kind of like in your direction. Just
Philoctetes, have you seen where Yvain is?
And we'll take off like almost silently and just kind of fly down the stairs.
Yeah, I'll understand you. All right, moving on. Just kind of like taking notes to herself, just like, all right, the hamster has horns.
The bird's my familiar.
You know what? That helps a little bit. Thank you.
Of course.
The rabbit, you're going to continue walking past the rabbit, and you hear like it stomp. It like bumps its foot on the ground, looks up at you, and kind of goes,
hey, would you like uppies?
He does like another foot stomp and like puts his hands up.
Glint will just lean down and scoop up Happy.
And Happy will just like go limp in your arms, Happy.
Yeah, we'll just begin cradling the rabbit like a baby as he's going to head towards where the owl is leading them.
The owl basically lands outside of. Well, Nix, where do you make? Oh yeah, in the workshop. So your owl just sort of like lands on one of like the candlesticks and just kind of like starts pecking at the door a little bit, very quietly. You come outside to see Tally, this sort of like, I don't know, very generic halfling man. He's not too, he's rather thin. He's kind of smoking a pipe. He's got his hair tied back, and he's got like a notepad sticking out of his overcoat. He's like smoking a pipe, and he just kind of like gestures with the pipe as like a quiet hello.
She'll kind of nod down, still looking very skeptical, just kind of nod down. One's not taking her eyes off and just kind of acknowledge that he said hello.
Yep. I'm not going to stab you, just saying hi.
Hilariously enough, that's not even the thing that I'm most concerned with anymore, but thank you.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Honestly, yes, I don't really blame you there. Sorry, this has been a lot, hasn't it? Can I do anything to allay concerns, or other questions I can answer before?
I think if you tried to warn me, honestly, I still don't think I'd believe you. I'll get there. I'll get there. It'll be fine.
Understandable.
Okay.
Well, as a precursor, you are in a house that has a wizard, a warlock, a druid, and some other sorts of, and also a bard, and there's a lot of weird things about. And Glint will knock on Yvain's door with like a clack of a pinky ring against the wood.
I gotta say, I just good job, Qiro. I've ended dates for far less. This is you open the door, Glint, and you're gonna see 3 people inside. First of which, you're gonna see this one person who's like working over at like the alchemy table and has this like he's like pouring things in like real close to their face. It's just like a I believe we said Gowns a human, and it's just kind of like pouring things over. And the door opens and kind of like a little twitchy and kind of like goes, oh hi Glenn, like sort of like puts some of the beakers like in like a beaker holder and kind of like stuffs it at the back of the desk. And you'll see 2 other individuals. One is working at well, why don't you tell us what you're doing, Nix, and what you look like? As your cat has returned to you, it seems, at some point.
So Nix is like around 5'6", elf. They've got like orange and red and yellow hair. And they're working on their little brew, on their hard lemonade that they've been perfecting, to make everyone happy around the shop and to make a little money too. And you've met their buddy, their little feline buddy lady.
It's also worth noting that I believe you've never seen an elf like Nix before. Like, there's something you can't put your finger on it, but there's something about Nix that is just like no elf you've ever seen. It might like the vibrancy of their hair might be a hue where it's like I think it's like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nix, I think it's like red and yellow in a way that you just don't even think is possible to dye properly. It just is a very exotic looking elf in some fashion. Maybe the ears are just like slightly tipped a little differently than any elf you've seen. Very exotic looking elf. And I'm going to say also in the room, maybe just kind of hanging out with Nix and doing a little personal project. Yvain, if you're with us.
She had to just step out for a second.
Okay, so she is not here. She's in the other room. And we will catch up with her in a second.
Apologies, our druid has been raptured.
Our druid has been raptured. Yeah, Nix, or the ground opens up and the druid goes, falls through and the ground closes up.
Wouldn't even
goes, sorry.
Qiro wouldn't even be phased at that point. She'd be like, you know what? Okay.
Don't worry, that doesn't actually happen. The ground doesn't rapture under her. But no, you see these 2 individuals inside, but you do see like Nix just going to work and like adding like a whole bag of sugar like into this thing. Yeah.
Nix.
Hey, sorry, I was a little distracted there. You have a new friend there?
Right. By all means, introduce yourself. Thank you. Welcome to the madness.
Hi, I'm Qiro. I'm assuming the cat is yours, or she chose you, or...
She chose me is a very good, perfect way to put it, actually. I'm Nix. Nice to meet you. Nix is going to reach out and a little overly friendly shake her hand.
Qiro will kind of tentatively reach out. Like I said, she's still very much on her back foot in terms of just like waiting for something crazy to happen. But she'll definitely reach out and shake her hand and go, I'm Qiro. I'd ask questions about everything going on in here, but I think I'll save those for a little later. What is that? And she'll kind of gesture behind you at whatever you were mixing before.
So as a little bit of a hobby, I like to make spirits of sorts. I like to get people a little inebriated. It's very fun. It's an offshoot of my creative endeavors. I'm a bard by trade, but I make music in other ways.
So you're the bard, all right? Okay. slowly learning how things work in this house. When you say spirits, do you mean wine, beer?
Mostly beer adjacent things. Hoppy sorts of drinks.
I handle the other
Would you like
spirits
some?
typically.
I mean,
Nyx is gonna grab like a little cup to give her a little sample and hand it out like eagerly.
Qiro will take it and then kind of stare at it for a second and kind of look at it, both because she's never seen what this is nor anything like it, and also everything in this house has been unbelievably weird. I trust that it's not poison, but I still gotta ask, what's in this?
The fruits from our lemon tree it's in another room. It's a bit hard to explain. I promise it's not poison. People seem to like it a lot.
And to be just clear, we've previously established that lemons are just now being created for the first time, so you've never heard of a lemon before.
They're like a lime.
And that is?
It's a... Have you ever seen a grapefruit?
We're gonna go with no. Just
well,
looking back and forth, trying to figure out what this is before you try
It's sort of like if an apple was angry.
Right. Okay. And how much? Like how much is in the cup? Like is it a big cup? Like is it a like? Is
it's
it
just
a
little nib. It's just like a little nib, just to try it out. They don't want to They don't want to overwhelm her with,
And so you see Qiro kind of look back and forth between the two of you, kind of look at you in your face for a second, kind of shrug to herself, and then down the whole thing at once.
It's goddamn delicious. It's like you could drink this like water. It is very refreshing. It's a little spritzy, and like you can taste that there's some liquor in there, but not because it's harsh in any way. Like you're just kind of aware, like you get a little bit of the taste off of it, but the sort of the sweetness of the lemonade like far overtakes it, and it's really, really good. Like more good than alcohol she tastes.
Kind of, and also used to, because Qiro was not used to having fine alcohol by any means. She's both surprised that something this good came from a house this weird, but also not surprised at all.
Yeah.
And so she kind of looks down at the cup for a second, and then looks back up and goes, "That was delicious. Thank you so much." And kind of looks down at Glint and goes, "You know what? This makes up for the past 10 minutes. Thank you."
Of course.
And she just tried to look for a table to set the cup down.
As you say, this is made up.
Back.
as you hand it back to Nyx and say, "This is made up for the last 10 minutes." Zarvalg, I'd like to make an attack roll for your dog.
All right then. Let's see. Oh, geez, that's pretty good. I forget his modifier. Let me look it up real quick. I wasn't ready for dog combat.
No one ever is.
The dog has a modifier? Why?
That's going to be a 23 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
In this moment, you're like, "This made up the last 10 minutes." And as you're handing the glass over, you hear this like, and you like turn around just in time to see this like massive, like I think they're like 200 pounds. These dogs,
200 pounds, yeah.
Yeah, this massive like armored 200-pound with like horns protruding out of its like shoulders, and just like diving at you with like flobbering like bulldog lips, and just lands on top of you. No damage, but just like pounces on top of you, Nia. And you're like laying on the ground under this dog going, "Ah!" Because who knows? And the dog's just like slobbering your face, just licking your face.
Once she realizes that, and I'm assuming she definitely, as calm as she has been, she screams for just a second until she realizes that the dog's not trying to kill her, and then kind of trying to like move the dog out of her face long enough to talk while spitting slobber out of the other side. Just go, "Who is this?"
This is the dog.
At which point, Zarbog, you will appear in the doorway. I think Yvain, you will have arrived from the commotion. So Zarbog, why don't you be first to describe us what you look like as you come, as Fen goes chasing after something, and you've discovered what?
Benchka. So he'll yell to the dog in, or give the dog a command in Goblin if you understand it. Basically telling the dog to retreat and come back. And it should follow his command, even though it acts on its own when it's not being commanded. It does follow commands fairly well. Zarvog is a hobgoblin, kind of a brick red skin. I'll put a little picture of him in the chat here. There's also a picture of him behind me that Glint was nice enough to do for me. So he looks something like that and something like what I'm about to put up. And basically, he's about 5'10", very athletically built, a little bit more thickly muscled in the thighs and chest and shoulders. He's got on, he's wearing like tight kind of padded leather pants, and a just a breastplate with nothing underneath. So his abdomen and his arms are relatively bare underneath. He's got a large crossbow slung across his back, a smaller crossbow on his hip, and the scimitar on his hip as well. Long, lush, dark hair about shoulder length, but cut very kind of like razor cut, like cut very jagged. He's got two kind of protruding tusks from his lower jaw, and yellow hobgoblin eyes. And so he'll walk into the room and he'll say, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't expecting company."
The dog does, the moment he says that word, the dog does like stop licking your face and like look up and behind him, and then like immediately at the word, like exactly upon the command, like just gets off of you and goes and like sits behind this hobgoblin.
Kira's gonna his 200 pounds just came off her ribcage, and as she sits up, still kind of like wiping slobber out of her face, she's not shocked just because shock left the building again 10 minutes ago, but she definitely is now immediately again on her back foot, just okay, like, for a second, she forgot that the house was weird, and she was like, wait a minute. And she kind of looks at the dog for a second, not necessarily angry, just now that he's not barreling towards her, she's like, okay. And then looks up at you and is like, okay. And then just slowly, while still looking at the dog, because she doesn't know if he's going to listen, just slowly kind of gets up without trying to lean forward, because she does not know if he's going to come at her again. And just kind of looks at you and goes, "Nice to meet you."
Oh, sorry about the dog. He gets a little overly friendly. He'll keep his distance for the time being.
Thank you. I can't. His name is.
I'm sorry. My name is Zarvo the Grim, and this is Fen.
Zarvog and Fen. Nice to meet you. And just kind of look at Glint, and then I'm assuming Gumbo's still there, and kind of look at Gumbo, and like I said, she very much is like, I should have seen, like, it is a look of understanding, like, I should have known.
This is a potential client, Glint?
Well, I was thinking, actually, a potential sparring partner for you to help you get all prepared up for the upcoming tournaments.
Well, we can certainly use another one. Oh, wait, is that that weapon, the longer weapon on your back? Is that a trident?
So, on the mini, I have the trident on my back. You actually can't see it. She just has the shield and the scimitar on her back, and then the sickle on her side. You can't see the trident right now.
Oh, no problem. Okay.
Ooh, interesting.
All right. Well, be happy to once you get comfortable. I just came from a little sparring, so I'm going to go and freshen up. But if you have a little time later and you want to take a few jabs, I'm happy to see you out in the courtyard.
Right. And now that the shock is kind of worn off, and now that Glint's mentioned that you're the one that she's supposed to be sparring against, you can definitely see her gaze kind of shift from what is happening to kind of she starts sizing you up. She starts looking at the weapons on your side, kind of looking at your face, and she heard the Grim part of your last name, and so she's just kind of getting her bearings, trying to figure things out.
And as Zarbog departs with the 200-pound dog, which has been like sitting behind Zarbog, just panting happily. I can see like it's totally like this is a war mastiff. Like it's got scars on its face, and like this dog's seen tons of combat, but it just looks like the biggest, stupidest, happiest dog. And it just follows after Zarbog as he goes to go freshen up. And by the way, the spikes coming out of the shoulders are attached to the armor, you notice now, so this isn't like some crazy Triceratops. Well, it is, but it is because of the armor. This is just a regular dog as far as you can tell.
They're attached at the shoulders, and they kind of come out forward in front of his body, sort of at a swoop. They're minotaur horns, actually, is what they're made from. So
she'll definitely, after you say that you're gonna go turn and freshen up, she'll definitely kind of, just for a second, kind of watch like how you walk away. But she's very, as quick as she was shocked, you kind of see her switch to,
as odd as that is, the armor.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Snakeskin boots.
Oh yeah.
Snakeskin boots. Oh, she's definitely like, okay. All right.
Yeah, not my armor. Fenn's armor. Fenn's armor is.
Armor.
Then she's immediately confused again. She's like, the horns got her a little bit. Like, she was happy that they didn't gore her, and so now that she realized that they aren't attached to the dog's head, because that seemed like a logical explanation at the time, she's definitely kind of like sizing you up and then looking at Fenn with the most confused, like, what are you?
Yeah, it's wearing a snake. Like, somehow got it turned into leather, so. Like snake skin leather, minotaur horned armor. This is just like this dog's just been like decorated like a monster truck.
All 4 feet.
A monster truck is a great analogy.
And walks away. And as the hobgoblin departs, the final 2 members will have assembled. Ember, at some point, you kind of walked in on the scene. And you and Yvain are like standing next to each other. And Corey, you're going to see the last 2 of the adventurers. Why don't we start with Yvain? Yvain, do you want to tell us what you look like? What Corey would see?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will get a picture up. I've posted it in the Facebook chat, but it's going to take a minute to get onto my hard drive and then get over to the Zoom chat. So. She's shorter than you at 5'4". And probably the first thing you would notice is this long, thick, luxurious head of silvery white hair. She obviously spends a lot of time washing and brushing and taking care of. That's pulled back loosely in a practical but like really thick braid that sits right at the front of her, comes right down, but it's sort of loose, and you can see the bangs and how it frames her face. Her skin is lavender, and she's got these sort of fuchsia pink eyes. Looks to be maybe half elven. Perhaps that would be a fairly good guess. She used to be really kind of plump, but honestly, if you consider what she's been doing anymore, there's no way that she is. And she's wearing sort of, it would be a skirt, but you can see she's got it hiked up with a belt so that she could walk pretty easily, and everything sort of in linens and silks. You can't necessarily see what she's wearing because she's got this armor that looks... It's not metal. Her breastplate does not look like it's metal, and it is enameled. It's sort of painted. And she's got a shield at her back and a gleaming silver sickle at her side and a pouch that's got something heavy and maybe roundish, judging by the shape of the heft in the sack.
And alongside her would be standing a very finely mustached man. Ember, would you like to describe what you look like?
Ember is a couple of inches taller than Vane, about 5'5". He is absolutely, out of all of the folks here, dressed better than all of them. No visible armor. He has, it's kind of thick red hair that's pulled back, a very well kept handlebar mustache. That's waxed. He's got a big honkin' ruby ring on one finger. And he's got a smile on his face because he's reasonably happy at the moment.
Fantastic. And we'll say it's up to you, Ember, what you're doing back here. It might just be like a temporary, you're picking up something from home, or you're hanging out here for the day. It's up to you. But yeah, you guys kind of see the new person Glint found and wants to keep.
Kind of look like I very much look confused, but just go, hi.
Oh, hello, I'm your angel. Put a hand out to shake it like a normal freaking person.
Put a hand out to shake and kind of shake and say, hi, my name's Qiro.
Hello, Qiro. I'm Yvain Starborn, the Aurora Concordant. Welcome to our home. This is Ember Van Zyl.
Pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you, too. Out of all of them I've heard about you, in detail that is.
Well, hopefully the stories are good.
So far.
Excellent.
The rest of us are here to make them look normal.
Right. Normal.
Yeah,
What's
we're
normal?
pretty weird.
I mean, I'm not the most normal thing you'd see on the street, so you're in good company, I guess. And I'm assuming I'm assuming everyone else is kind of behind her and kind of faced towards the door. And so when she says normal, she'll kind of like half throw a look over her shoulder and kind of look at everyone else around her and go, well, it was nice to meet all of you.
Have you met him?
Not since I got to town, no.
Is lunch ready?
Well, I was just over at the Spark, but there's probably something upstairs. Why don't you go on up to the dining room and I'll pull something together.
Yeah, let's meet upstairs and, sit and talk and, be hospitable.
Nyx is gonna lean over to Qiro and be like, Ember is an excellent cook. You're gonna love it. It's good stuff. I can get you another drink too. They're gonna like elbow him a little bit. Like, I'll get you another drink too.
Being vaguely on edge, Qiro definitely kind of jumps a little bit when you lean over her shoulder, and then upon realizing it's you, and then remember what you handed her that kind of forgave this whole ordeal, she looks as excited as she can for a moment and goes, thank you so much. You mentioned lunch?
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you eat, right? I haven't... I skipped breakfast. I slept. It was a late night. We found Jomon Tosh. Nyx,
Oh, right.
You don't know. Ember, you were what? How did it go with the parent trap? Oh, yeah, all right.
They had a relatively good time. I covered the Spark this morning so Mom could sleep in, but we'll see.
We're not trapping parents like hunters, but it's a setting up thing, matchmaking, meddlesome.
Thank you for that clarification. And also thank you for knowing exactly where my head went.
Oh, oh. Oh, but I appreciate that. No, I could totally understand why you would think that. Yeah, so food. Let's eat and
Please.
talk
By
of
all
things.
means, follow them up, and I'll go see what I can pull together in the kitchen.
Yeah, you open the kitchen door, Ember, and the workers are, as usual, in there. Just they all like turn around and look at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Ember will actually go out and up the street to the Spark, where there's a functioning working kitchen.
Yeah, you close the door and they go back to bust. Yeah, you open the door like we know, we want that wall busted down. You don't want this tape. We know, and then you just like close the door on them and you go rally up some food down the street.
They'll be ready in 2 weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys can all grab a seat at the dining table upstairs, and I don't imagine it takes too long for you to get back, Ember. It's like, well, actually, you go down there, you cook it up, you come back, so you guys probably sit around, you guys kind of hang out. Mostly you guys small talk for a bit. I want to get Ember back in on it, so maybe like 20 minutes of small talk. We're like, oh yeah, isn't Happy great? Oh yeah, Finn's great. And you guys talk about your pets and everything, and then Ember returns with takeout. Yeah, you guys can all sit down for a home-cooked meal by Ember at the dining table. Ember, what are you serving today?
I think that we're gonna go with some fried meatloaf sandwiches and some Hasselback potatoes.
Ooh.
Jesus, dude. Okay, calm down. Okay, I gotta run this for another 3 hours. Not eat. Okay. So yeah, he comes back with a beautiful dish. Do you want to roll a check to see how well it turned out?
Yeah. Might as well. That's what all these dice are for.
Yep. Whatever skill you think makes sense, take advantage, obviously.
Once more for advantage. 13 and 8 is 21.
This guy takes out the food, so it's handing it out, Qiro, and it's like, the presentation's like, it's okay, probably got moved around a little. It's not terrible, but it got moved around a little bit and transported down the street. But the taste is like, it's gourmet. It's literally gourmet. It's incredible.
Knowing how Qiro grew up and knowing how she is used to food being presented, the presentation doesn't really throw her off, and then also having the drink downstairs that was unexpectedly good, she's still a little cautious because, like, definitely don't know these people, but she definitely is kind of eager, and then after the first bite, it is like she inhales it. You do not see her chew more than 3 times and everything is gone.
She eats like Happy.
And then kind of with food, like, still trying to swallow food back, she goes, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. While you're here, you're welcome to come by for lunch. I'm sorry that our kitchen here is still a work in progress. But
this is better than anything I've had in weeks. Scratch that. This is better than anything I've had in months.
Vane starts laughing.
My mother's better than I am. She runs the Browsing Spark just up the street, so
It's better than this?
in my humble opinion.
Qiro, if I may, when I first met Ember and Zarvolg, I was horribly lost outside of a swamp, 600, 700 miles away from where I thought I was. And I'd been living on berries for weeks, nothing but berries. And he gave me chocolate baklava, and he hasn't been able to get rid of me. So yeah, I get it.
one question, one statement. Well, I guess two questions then. First of all, what is baklava? Two, you can put chocolate in it?
Yeah,
Three,
I'll
oh,
try
it
to
was
I'll
remarkable.
I'll try to make some for tonight. You're going to be in town tonight?
Really?
I'll be in town for, I guess, the next little while.
Fan- Fantastic. I will plan on some for dessert tonight.
Well,
She,
thank you. I don't want to put you out or anything.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Happy to help.
Qiro mentioned she was looking for work in town, being rather
Oh.
new, and I suggested that she could make a fine sparring partner for Zarval with the upcoming tournament. But if you know of any other jobs, being a little more local than I'd
Well,
appreciate your insight.
that begs the question of what sort of stuff do you do?
Well, I mean, where I'm from, I was more so kind of like I mentioned to you, Glint. I was more so kind of the front man. I was kind of the man that you threw into a fight first. I can take a few punches. I mean, I know the business end of a sword real well. Besides that, I mean, I was really just the muscle where I'm from. I don't know how to sail a ship, but I can work on one.
Uh, well,
Well, that sounds
we
promising.
we have everyone here at the table. So let me proffer the following. Since the rest of the Concordant is here, the delve is going to be going on tomorrow or the day after tomorrow.
It's got to be the day
Sure.
after tomorrow, because
Yeah,
tomorrow,
correct.
yeah, we have a day to prep.
So by way of interview, would you like to come with us? This city was, I don't know how familiar you are, so if I'm being redundant, my apologies. But several years ago, this city was sacked by a
A dragon?
council of dragons.
I did
and
hear
it
that part.
and it raised a significant portion of the city. And dragons, being the jackjaws that they are, they gathered wealth, and they like shiny things. Like crows. They like shiny baubles and things of that nature. They collected that onto themselves. Some of that has been found and redistributed, but certainly not all. And they laid waste to a fair amount of Tal'Dorei in large, and gathered it here because this was the seat of the Cinder King Thordack.
Right. And when you say dragons, you mean the giant fire breathing thing. Well, I guess.
Well,
Yeah, fire.
Thordack was, but Thordack was not alone. There were dragons of several types that were part of his entourage.
Yeah,
There are
didn't
different
they have
kinds
a
of
high?
dragons.
The dragons are now dead. The heroes of Vox Machina put an end to their particular tyranny, but this is some of the remains.
Right.
And I not terribly long ago, we encountered what we think is likely one of the escaped offspring of Thordack.
Fire
Here,
breathing dragon that took over the city.
yes,
Right.
he spawned or she, however that works for dragons. There were a lot of eggs spawned. most of which got broke, but clearly not all.
Right. Just to be on the safe, giant fire breathing dragon. All right. And you found one? Where? How? Where?
It was in the sewers under the upper part of Emon.
And no one noticed it before you found it?
Its
You'll have to
depredations
forgive me.
were light by comparison.
Right. You'll have to forgive me. I'm not real well versed in dragons where I'm from. Those aren't really one of the hazards that I had to worry about. Aren't they supposed to be, at least one-story house big?
This one was
size.
This one was, maybe 2.5 horses, not counting the wings.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, this wasn't a full-grown adult. No, it was just a youngling, wasn't it?
Relatively speaking, because
Yeah,
Thordack
no,
hasn't been gone all that long.
If you want to see its head, it's above the hearth and the spark.
Yeah.
You have its head
Oh,
in
yeah.
your house? Wait.
Well,
you
yeah, we
killed a dragon and then mounted its head in your house. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
We ate the meat and we broke down the parts. We still have the scales. We really should decide if we're going to make the armor and sell the armor, or we just want to sell the plate, or somebody wants to wear the armor. But right now we're just sitting on resources. I'm sorry, I squirreled.
to be
You
fair,
can see Qiro very visibly sits back in her chair and is trying to connect the dots of hey, dragon, killed a dragon, head is in the house.
to be fair, the head's not actually in this house. It's in the inn down the street. Ember's
I
mother's
said it was in the
inn.
spark.
Yeah.
All right.
I will say, connecting the dots now there, Qiro, you're, and maybe the name was thrown out a couple times and you kind of put two and two together that this is that venturing party that you've heard about all over the continent.
And she definitely, upon connecting those dots, as, half on edge as she was before, kind of sitting next to everybody, she definitely, looks back in her chair, and her eyes are now darting, because I'm assuming she's heard, rough descriptions of all of these people, and she is definitely now darting around, trying, connecting the dots of, oh, you're that person, oh, you're the, and kind of has all at once, oh, geez, oh, no, oh, I'm in danger. Okay. Okay.
Is only in this moment that Corey recognizes
Yeah.
that she's in some kind of danger.
Because, before now, they were just kind of wacky people, and there was a giant skeleton over there that talked, and she was sure the cat was going to talk, but, oh, you're those people. Okay.
Oh, he's not actually a giant skeleton. I animated him out of bone stock.
Right.
Yeah, like soup.
He says,
Right.
I
That's
am
right.
soup.
It's why we call him Gumbo. He was actually made from a pot of gumbo.
Right.
It was perhaps.
It was
I am
heavily
made
bone
from the
broth.
soup of
Yes,
the goddess
yes.
of death. Yes.
And, swings over and looks at Zarvel, because, she was sizing him up before. It's okay, I could probably take him. Swings over and looks at him and goes, are you sure you need my help? I'm sure you can find somebody better in town. I don't know how much help I'm going to be for you.
He's probably got his head down a little bit and his hair kind of falling over his face. And while he did go to wash up, he doesn't do a great job of it. So probably he has some mud smeared in certain places. And he just kind of flips his hair back and gives you a wink and a little smirk. And he's like, we'll see what you got first.
All right, if you're sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
why not a little sword fun?
Why not? And then looks at Glint as soon as he mentions sword and go, and just kind of looks at him because, again, attached to my limbs, you said non-lethal. Are you sure?
Sure.
I can
Oh.
heal up any
Zarvok, it is
damage you do.
non-lethal,
You'll be
right?
fine.
Oh yeah,
we learned our
absolutely.
lesson after the one bar fight.
Right,
Trust us.
right.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, no, we're very careful now.
I
I-
will. Pen can sit and watch, and I've been sparring every day for weeks now, so perfectly comfortable with a non-lethal spar.
What competition are you entering?
Oh, the Day of Champions. So every year in Emon, there's a grand tournament to find us, presumably the greatest available combatant in the Emon area, potentially
Any
in Tal'Dorei.
anybody else had a hand to killing a dragon that entered this year?
Well, no, not yet, but we do have a lot of folks that would like to claim that title. It's relatively prestigious. It happens in front of a big crowd, and you get to take home the glory of the glory for your god, and a title that you keep with you for essentially the rest of your life.
Well, in that context, doesn't really sound so bad. So what? You just fight to fight?
Oh, yes, absolutely, fight to fight. I fight. I mean, we fight to survive. Clearly, that's coming up pretty soon. Sounds like within the next 2 days. But also, given the opportunity, I love to fight for exhibition, fight for the sake of entertainment and competition.
On that, we can agree then. All right. I think I'm starting to get it, just a little bit.
But for now, let's enjoy lunch.
Right. And Glint, you mentioned the rest of you don't fight. I mean,
I thought about entering.
As if I. But I'm not. I'm not certain what the process is for the less martial
or even really
deities.
the ground rules. But I am a wizard by trade. I know a few knife tricks, but I'm not exactly a swordsman or a knight or anything like that. I'm confident I can hold my own with magic, of course, but I'm not sure how much of that is being a dirty cheat in the rules of the champion contest, all of that.
There is a another tournament coming up that we have heard about that allegedly involves groups of people. The Day of Champions is a one-on-one tournament. There is a less famous and a bit more subtle group tournament on the horizon that we may indeed take part in.
alright. And this one-on-one, this Day of Champions is what you said.
I believe so, yes.
You said you fight for in the name of the gods that you worship. Is that? Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, there are various groups that select a champion through an elimination and promotion process. I'm getting ready to enter into that process myself under the banner of the Stormlord Cord, and I will fight to become Cord's champion. And if I'm able to successfully pull that off, I will represent Cord and the battle prowess of the Storm God at the Day of Champions. Or at the Day of Challenging, I'm sorry. Other similar factions, for instance, we had a paladin with us for a while who was a paladin of Bahamut. Their family is a family of champions of Bahamut who have fought in the same annual tournament for representing the god Bahamut.
Well, best of luck to you, and like I said, I'll help in any way I can. I'm just not sure how much I can help you in this particular instance.
Well, every a trainer of mine has told me that every fighter has a little something to offer, a little something you can learn from watching them move, um, studying their strategies and tactics, etc. So, any chance to swing a sword a couple of times potentially yields a little bit of knowledge.
Certainly get behind that. Well, I do hope I'm a good lesson.
It'll just be a brief amount of fun. We'll see. If nothing else, it'll give us a little bonding time to get to see each other in action a little bit.
My favorite kind of bonding, then.
Speaking of bonding, Nyx is gonna hand out glasses of the hard lemonade to everybody since we're having lunch. This is the best thing to bond over.
On that, I'd agree. And Qiro kind of holds her glass for a second, kind of looking to see if somebody's going to say anything.
I'll drink
In that moment of like waiting for a toast, you kind of look around the table and you see the rabbit thing known as Happy literally like put its hands on the other side of one plate and just like open its mouth and just like insert like 8 ounces of meat and all of the potatoes and just like into its like tiny rabbit body.
Definitely, like as much attention as she is paying to everyone at the table, because now she understands who she's sitting at a table with. That definitely is enough to kind of momentarily just, what in the, and just kind of go, all of you have the weirdest house.
Sláinte.
It grows on ya.
And if everyone else goes to drink, again, is this a full glass this time?
Yes, this time it's a full glass.
This time, Qiro kind of looks at it now knowing what it is and knowing what to expect. Same thing again, not without the shoulder shrug, downs everything in one go.
Easily done. I think you're used to harder liquor than this.
And then just kind of slams the mug back down on the table, and then takes a second to look at everybody else, and is just, I'm so sorry. Old habits die hard, I guess.
What are you
That's the
apologizing
spirit.
for?
We like that enthusiasm around here.
I know, right?
Perfect.
It's gonna get you. It's gonna get you far. Listen, we're going to talk about some things that we're up to, and we're going to include you absolutely as much as you can. Always stop and ask questions, and some of it's going to be confusing, and we know. So we'll stop to give background as much as we can, and we'll work together to get you up to speed, because there's kind of a lot, and it's totally okay. Like we'll be briefing you for a while. It's totally normal. Like don't you even worry about it. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, the delving is in a couple of days. We're going down. We're doing the thing. What exactly is the objective? To acquire because there are other teams going. Yeah, isn't there a sort of competition element of it? Was I understanding it correctly?
That's my understanding. I imagine that the details will be made clear at the time of go. And they are being specifically nebulous up until that point. My guess is that there's probably a MacGuffin that's been located, and
yeah.
We are expected to go and
the spellcasters should get together.
I'll say in that moment, like Tally happened to be walking by. Goes, oh, sorry, I forgot. I forgot to give you a little letter or something about that. As for you, Mr. Ember, really fancy look into the house, and he'll hand you a letter with Estrix's seal on it. Goes, sorry about that. Came by, forgot about it.
Oh, that's quite all right. And he'll take his knife and pop the seal open and take a read.
And to summarize, it basically says like, thank you for accepting. Very excited to have you along. As you may know, um, every year or two, uh, elementals, fire elementals attack from the crater, attack Emon from the crater as the Ashari are trying to get everything under control. And every couple of months, adventurers will delve for glory and for wealth. So the Council of Emon has decided to integrate a sort of philanthropy-based way of sending adventurers in every couple of months to help temper that and taking care of anything that might be growing up inside there. So essentially, what will happen is that you will delve in the crater. There will be what have been taken to be called magma land sharks. There'll be a hope that you slay as many as possible and claim whatever fortunes you can carry out for yourselves as reward for this delve and for your service to Emon.
Huh.
And that's basically what it says. Delving for glory, for fame, and for the protection of Emon. And fortune, of course.
Well, when it comes to carrying stuff out, I think we may have a advantage in that space to some degree.
That's true.
So, gives us a couple of days to ameliorate the fire issue. Because I would imagine anything with the name Magma Land Shark may be a hot property.
But we know someone who's managed the aftermath of them. I don't know if she actually fought them, but Honor. I've been needing to reach out to her anyway. But that has something to do with what she said. That she said something about that. I don't remember what she said about it. F me, I'm sorry. Honor, land shark. That's all I remember.
We've had a lot on our plate, Yvain. even you, the mistress of the library, cannot hold everything inside your head at once. You're not Glint.
I know, but I try so hard to be him. I'll reach out.
I keep a terrible number
tonight.
of books on me to keep my thoughts straight, I assure you.
I'll reach out tonight. I can ask her about that and about the Undranok. That really needs to happen.
Yeah, that would be.
That was a space kitty, right?
The space cat that the Kadergeist. Oh, we're throwing around a lot of language. Poor Qiro has no idea. All right.
Slowly figuring things out. I'm more so just waiting. It seems like explanations follow. Just a couple
I don't actually
minutes
know what a magma land shark is. I know that in Western they had some, and someone I know is either fought them or was cleaning up the aftermath. I don't know. There's just some sort of association that she told me about, and she's the youngest. It's a bunch. All right, and I need to talk to her. She has a giant space cat that she built. And there are only 20. Yes, no, they create them on their own. Oh my God, it's so amazing. So what she did, in order to become a spellwright, and she's the youngest one to ever become one, is that you have to create this construct. But they I don't know, there's sort of this arcane, artificial sort of intelligence. Looks like it has a personality because it's like the catnip I made for it. But she hadn't named it, which is weird. But anyway, so they fly. But each one is only supposed to be able to be tethered to a spellwright. And the Kadergeist, who is an assassin tied to an evil spider queen, I don't think is a spellwright. And if she is, it's a fucking problem someone should deal with. And if she's not, how'd she get the fucking Undranok? Also, are all of them alive? What happens to an Undranok if a spellwright dies? So, there are questions. I just need to talk to her anyway. I'm sorry. Yeah, so magma land sharks. underneath Emon. I'll reach out, and then I'll go to the library, and we'll see if we can get an advantage. We should probably prepare spells for being underground. Maybe air spells, probably some fire control spells, and maybe.
So we're gonna take a quick pause because that was a lot of information that kind of got thrown together.
And I put in once Yvain got on a roll, and I could see the look of, I'm drinking from the fire hose. There's way too much information coming at me. Ember will take a second, and we'll start doing like minor illusions over the table of people, places, relative sizes.
And then Yvain will start to slow down.
Information to go with it.
And Qiro was definitely like, I saw your thing at chat, so Qiro was definitely like, she starts by looking at Yvain and then sees all of the little things and is kind of concerned because that's new, but then also kind of realizes the story that they're telling and kind of looks and is kind of following along. And then she gets distracted because she sees that it's Ember doing it, and so she's kind of like, she's listening and cataloging and then also understanding, and by the end of it, she just says, all right, as long as you get it, I think I've got a working knowledge of it at least.
No. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's great.
You don't have to follow everything she says. I never do.
Oh, good.
He doesn't. It's true.
So I'll say while Yvain's sort of like on her roll, and Ember like maybe like just, I'm trying to find a cool plot reason why I get to explain all this. But we'll say like during that, you notice like someone's kind of standing beside you at the end of the table, kind of like pokes your shoulder, and you see this like this teenager in probably around your age actually.
Me specifically?
You specifically, around your age specifically. You see this like, because I believe your character is like is a teen, is like late teens or just getting into their 20s. Yeah, so similar age. You see this young woman with blonde hair into like a tight back braided ponytail, and she's wearing like pretty nice armor, but she's like a little younger and not as decorated as everyone else at the table here with various accoutrement and equipment. And she's gonna sort of like quietly, while everyone else is talking, be like, "Hi," and she'll like put a hand up and shake her hand. She'll go, "I'm Beverly. I'm kind of like the sidekick of the group. I'm the squire of the Platinum Dragon. Do you need some help with like knowing what's going on?"
Say, did she tap Qiro on the shoulder?
Yeah, just kind of like a little poke on the shoulder.
For a second, like, both because Kira's like doing all the things at once, and also I'm assuming she had no idea she was back there, instinct kicks in just a little bit, and like as soon as she goes to tap her, she like grabs her hand, like while she's doing all of this, grabs her hand and kind of looks over her shoulder, and she doesn't draw anything, because you definitely see, like, you can see her other hand flex, and then she immediately relaxes as soon as she's like, oh, and immediately turns and goes, "I am so sorry. It's a force of habit. I didn't mean anything by it." And just immediately starts apologizing.
Yeah, she goes, "Oh no, that's good reflexes. Good job. Wow. No, not at all. I just wanted to help you out if you need any help catching up with what's going on."
Quick question, and she'll just kind of like lean over and whisper, "Quick question: are they always like this?"
"Yes, all the time."
Right.
"I've been traveling with them for months. They have not changed at all."
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
They're nice at least, right?
Oh, they're very nice. No, they're super heroic and very nice.
Right. Well, thank you for offering to help. Do you understand? Did I miss anything? Is there anything else that I need to know just to get things?
Yeah, sure. And she'll kind of like catch your eye, Ember, and give you the like, do the thing, and you like, and yeah, you start minor illusioning, and essentially that allows me to catch you up on a little bit of what was just said, I believe. So yeah, the letter was read. Essentially, Emon gets attacked every now and then by these magma land sharks that are a result of this dragon incursion that happened a while back. Sort of a residual, sort of dealing with the, still dealing with it after all these years. And yeah, the party's going to delve it. But the space cat stuff, she would tell you that the party, she says like, oh, I'm not going to get into the quest, but essentially they were on a airship and they were attacked by this like giant pink winged astral cat that ripped the sky ship out of the sky and almost killed everybody. And then they were chased by like an undead assassin of the Spider Queen, who they're not sure is like a demon or whatever, but they say she can't be killed, and if she targets you, she's going to kill you, and they call it the inevitable end for that reason. So they were chased by the inevitable end for a while and lived.
The only question that Qiro has during all this is, do they always get chased by things trying to kill them?
Yes.
Not.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
we get break event sometimes. Okay, yeah, most of the time.
I mean, it's not
calm
a
down.
problem. Believe it or not, I'm not used to it. Sounds so horrible. It's not. It wouldn't be the first time that I'd have been in a fight for my life. Is what I'll say. That sounds like the best.
Good.
Oh, that's good.
Good. We've been in so many fights for our lives. That's really good to hear.
But luckily, we all, we look out for each other. Does that help? So you're not on your own.
Yeah, and occasionally the rabbit will just like eat one of the bad guys, or at least like turn it into a crystal or something. Occasionally.
Oh, that was
Rabbit
amazing.
the rabbit does more, but it just ate. Okay.
I'm pretty sure the
Okay.
rabbit's like actually the art cart in like rabbit shape for some reason. I don't actually understand it, but it does all kinds of
Right.
crazy stuff.
Does the dog do magic? And then she'll kind of shift over me. Does he do magic too, or is he just
No.
is it just the armor? Or all right.
No, the
He
dog's
most
just a
certainly
massive
does not
murderer.
do any magic.
He has, however, killed more men than any of the rest of us.
And
Maybe
it's
put
not
together.
close either. Like it's
I don't
it's
know.
far and away the biggest number of kills.
Honestly,
That's
they should
what
put
the-
right.
Yeah, once he killed like this giant minotaur demon, like knocked it off the side of a mountain and killed it, and it fought one-on-one with like I think it was like a mountain lion and killed it, and it killed a ghost once somehow.
Honestly,
I don't
they
even
could
know
put
how
the
that
dog in the tournament and we'd probably be fine.
Whereas before, Qiro was kind of looking at this dog, where with the horns and the armor and the boots. Whereas before, she was kind of like, "What are you?" There is like this slowly as she's hearing. There is this sort of like, "All right, respect." Like I can respect it. Cool.
You look and see the dog with like a bow in the corner going, and, like sort of whining as it like gnaws on like this big femur.
It's a
I
big
think
baby.
in a century.
And Gumbo's like, no, stop doing that. I told you to stop feeding me. Pulls his leg out of Fenn's mouth and he kind of whines.
She's slowly starting to learn. She's like, all right. Like, whereas before she was like, all right, they're goofy. And then she kind of realized, and she was like, oh, geez, Louise, they're scary. She's kind of started to transition back into like, okay, these are just like really powerful goofballs that occasionally do really, really scary things. Okay. I can. Okay.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Nix's new alcoholic beverages really helped everybody sort of cope.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's called
Oh, yeah.
alcoholism. It's a new therapy technique.
No, really, I'm all about it. Listen, the lemons are the lemons of lesser restoration, right? They cure what ails you. And Nick
You're tell-
is making the best of it when it's done. I'm telling you.
When life gives you lemons,
She's
make
doing
hot
all the
lemonade.
God's work.
Everybody
Oh,
goes,
yeah.
that is the coolest saying. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Wow. I've obviously never heard that because it's just been invented.
So you're telling me I drank magic lemons?
Yeah, you drink magic fruit that heals you and gives you therapy.
Yeah, your sciatica's
Oh.
probably better if you had any.
She seems a
can't
bit
say
young
that-
for that. Oh my goodness, what are your pronouns? I just assumed. I'm so sorry.
She, her. Thanks for asking. No, you're fine.
No, I don't care, but you like she, they, she, what you know.
Right?
Water girl.
I mean, yeah.
I've been called
it
worse.
fits. He's called me worse.
Yeah, everybody has special nicknames, and well, most of us have special nicknames in the group. And by most of us, I mean just Yvain.
What
But
kind
I
of
see-
nicknames
I
do
see-
you mean? That's important. What kind of nicknames do you mean? Like you've given yourself nicknames, you give each other
No.
nicknames.
I think
No,
with
it's Zarvog.
Zarvog
I'm
and
pretty sure
Elaine,
it's-
they're more pet names.
It's
technically.
never me.
Mhm.
So
It's the
Zarvog
cult.
will go around the table. He'll point at Glint and he'll say, "Dwarf." Point at Nyx and say, "Prancy." Point at Ember and say, "Psycho." And point at Yvain and say, "Witch."
All right,
And-
but used to be ring mage, so now Ember
Oh,
has
yeah.
two.
Beverly's like, oh, one day I hope I get it. I'm gonna get a nickname one day. China.
Together we all pull the sleigh for the turning of the new year.
Oh. And Ember will start unbuttoning his shirt. If you do stay long enough, there is something that you may be required to get.
She goes, oh yeah, they brand you.
Yeah, they just did it to me a bit ago.
As he says that and starts unbuttoning his shirt, Qiro, between that and then hearing Zalrog the Grim call him Psycho, she immediately is just like,
I have a cartoony image in my head of Qiro standing and like on top of a table, like in a corner, like waving the sickle around, and like all of you like coming after her.
like as normal as everything has gone. Like she is very much in a perpetual cycle of like, okay, this is weird, and then things kind of progressively get more normal, and then someone says or does something, and she's right back to, oh no, it's weird. All right.
Yeah, Beverly will say, like, I mean, I had the chance to like be a part of it as it got weirder, but you're just getting it all thrown at you, aren't you?
Lucky me.
It did get progressively weirder.
It did start. No, it started pretty weird too. Actually, I gotta admit.
Were we already weird by the time we... Oh, yeah, we were. Because you joined us in West... Yeah.
Yeah, I met you guys in
No,
West.
that was when it really got weird, actually.
Yeah, you guys were
Let's
fighting
go
like
back.
a,
Right now, yeah.
The brand? What?
A tattoo?
It's a tattoo.
Go
Yeah.
back to the,
Or a tattoo, yeah.
I mean,
Hey, has
I'm
Beverly
pretty-
gotten a tattoo?
Yeah, I think we got her one.
I think so. Did I get it? I don't know. Actually, I don't really know. I never.
Oh, that's...
I don't
We've
even,
got to... I think why haven't we... We need to do that.
I don't
That's
even know
right,
if I
you
That
can-
needs to
just-
get done. That's gotta
She
get
just
done.
watched me get one. She didn't get one herself. I
I
think
don't
like
maybe
even know if I
tattoo.
can get a tattoo technically. I mean, I can, but I don't think it's permanent. You know?
Right.
Hero kind of she lifts both of her
Yeah.
arms and goes, I'm kind of full up. Oh, how big is it? What is it of? And does it do anything?
No, just marks you as a member of the group. And
He wanted to
Zarvog
do
will
something, because I could probably figure something out on that front.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Zarvog will pull down his lip on the one side and show his one tusk that has the same emblem etched into the tusk of his one enlarged tooth.
Now that's cool. But so is about everything you do. All right, so you got it on your tooth, and looks at Glint. You got it on the middle of your forehead.
Oh no,
all
that's a
right?
different one.
Ah. Circling
Sorry,
on
I've
back
been in
to
a few
that.
clubs in my day.
Circling on back to that, all of you, and she'll kind of like look at the rest of the table. All of you have one?
It's sort of a family membership thing.
Gumbo says, I don't
Right.
have one because I didn't have skin, do I?
Sure, they can tattoo a tooth, they can tattoo a bone for you. So, what exactly, because I can see you've got something on your tooth, but what exactly does the tattoo look like?
Well,
Ember does a good job of explaining it.
The base image is sort of a central tree, kind of in silhouette shape. There's a horizon line that kind of goes partway up the tree, and the tree's got some fingery roots down below. There's a little moon on one side with a full kind of color shield underneath the moon on one side. Kind of opposite the moon and the shield is a small tent and kind of a stick figure man and a dog, and down kind of below the horizon line, like in the tree roots, are various little, the little eye shapes kind of peeking out from underneath the roots.
Do you still have your shirt open while you're describing all of this?
Yeah. And his is a brand. It's not a tattoo.
Oh.
You don't have to go as enthusiastically as they did, I assure you. And also, it's opt-in, and only if you decide to stay on with us. It's not really... We're not expecting you to do so out of simply being a sparring partner for a bit, or coming with us for a delve. This is
do you think yeah, like, maybe she comes along with us, and she does a thing, and then she decides... If she wants to, like, permanently change her skin.
Exactly.
Right? Like, we give her a moment. She looks at Sarval.
Yes, we only just met. You don't...
Maniac?
You're going to look like some sort of crazy person if you go talking about tattooing her on day one.
But Beverly has been
you're doing
here.
Great, by the way, Qiro. Like, most people run screaming by now. Like, long ran screaming.
It is definitely like Qiro walked into this, especially meeting before Gumbo introduced who he was. Qiro was definitely convinced that, like, she's seen the weirdest things. Like, she was definitely convinced that, like, her childhood was the weirdest thing she had seen. And so now she's kind of just like, well, I'm already here. I haven't died yet. They fed me. They gave me something to drink.
They fed me.
I haven't died yet.
Oh, this you haven't seen nothing yet. We got chased by like this the assassin lady. She was this really scary 3-armed like ghost lady. It was very...
6. And
Six,
Ember
right,
will
she
do
has 6 arms.
another image.
Yeah, it shows an illusion of this like frankly really hot drow lady clad in like black leather with like 6 arms and razor sharp daggers in each one, and like long red hair, and like just looks like a ghost demon murdering crazy woman.
I am so confused for so many different reasons. You are so good. And looks, I'm assuming Ember's the one that conjured the illusion. Looks at Ember. You are so good at that, by the way.
I had a lot of practice early on. I worked with my familiar to map some underground spaces, and
Your familiar the meat-eating rabbit, or do they pop out from somewhere else?
At which point Ember will button his shirt back up, and he'll reach into like kind of the watch pocket, and take out it's kind of your bog standard silver flask, and he'll uncap the flask, and a tendril of smoke will come on out of the flask, and then solidify down to a kind of a clawed hand that's kind of hissing kind of cinders and sparks. This is Red.
Red.
And for what
Red,
it's worth, it's a right hand.
Right. Red, please don't take this the wrong way. And she'll turn and look at Ember. What is he?
He's my familiar. He's a gift.
Right. Gift. I am
Here's a gift.
both so happy for you, and I am so terrified of the person that gave you that gift. So this delve you were talking about, if I heard right, there were riches involved.
Yes, we probably should be fairly well paid.
Yeah, you would
Right.
think.
I mean, if you're willing to have me along, I'd be happy to go. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really have much in the way of, well, things. I travel kind of light. What you see is what you get. I don't really have that much. So I definitely won't stop at the chance to make a couple gold and
Oh, I think we can help with that.
wonderful. And just kind of sits
That's
back and sighs to herself. All right.
and as I will say, like as Qiro continues to cope with with the trauma of meeting this group, we'll head to our break. Before we head to our break, I want to put something out there for all you guys as this delve is coming through. So the letter says you can take as much as you can carry. So for the sake of this, we will temporarily be turning on coin weight. Keep this in mind for your delve, because it is as much as you can carry. So make sure that your coin weight is turned on in your D&D Beyond character sheets when we go to do the delve, or whenever you want to start doing that. So the lighter you go in, the more you're able to carry on. Yes,
Yeah.
Zorbo.
I'm assuming since we have the Bastion now, and there is a storeroom in the Bastion, right? Obviously, I mean it's not a a safe or anything like that. But as far as leaving things inside the building, we can probably leave coin and equipment and things in there, I suppose.
You could not, unfortunately, because as it currently stands, it is filled with trade goods that have
Got it.
been purchased by Glint and need to be sold in this next couple of days. So currently, it is just stuffed with various trade goods that can just be procured.
Okay.
Could we just
All
leave
right.
them in our rooms?
Yeah,
Leave it in your
personal
room,
quarters
sorry, yeah.
then probably. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. There's locks on the doors.
Would
If
you
I may
like me to
say-
make you a safe?
Yesterday?
No, I was going to say we have a barracks and we have an armory. So we could just spend the money and do the thing. We have it. We can give the order and it will be done.
Yeah. Well, and that's the point is that, like, you're exactly right, Evening, is that your Bastion has an armory and a barracks. You guys are all in town. So if anyone was planning to, like, assault your house, they probably are like, oh, yeah, those really powerful adventurers are right in town. Maybe not the best idea.
Right.
So point being is that your Bastion's probably one of the better defended buildings in the entire port. So I wouldn't worry too much.
Okay.
Cool. We'll return to the game when we get back. But yeah, let's take a 15-minute break, and then we'll continue the game.
Okay.
Great.
Cool. Back
Nice
soon.
to have you. Nice to have you, Naya. Doing good so
Thank
far.
you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So we went on this delve under the city. It was a whole thing, but essentially we found this big mine full of like really really valuable gems, and we did it with this guy called Jorman Tosh, and he kind of like was the lead on it all. He had like a whole bunch of information, and we think that he kind of screwed us because he disappeared, and then all of the gemstones disappeared from the entire mine a couple days later. So that's pretty much the whole story. I think that's it.
We got ourselves. So you got yourself a thieving problem?
I think we're pretty sure it's a thieving problem. Yes. Okay. Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I
You're
hate
really
that
good at knowing when to
guy.
pop in.
and we cut back to the party
Right.
talking about their scribe. Go ahead. Sorry.
All you were saying.
I hate that guy.
Yeah, baby, so do I. All right, so yeah, he is in, what did you say? Autumn Veloc? Veloc? I don't know how to say it. But like down far south and on the east coast, did you say?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know that for sure yet, but it fits the description.
And he was living large. Glint
Hmm?
was said some things to him. It was entertaining.
Oh, right, right. I did some sendings to him long distance.
Oh.
I told him that we knew about the money that was owed. No, I didn't give our names, and I left him some additional messages that should have him feeling a little bit antsy for a little bit.
Gumbo goes, oh, well,
Disturbed.
can I try sending him some sendings sometime?
By all means, just
Okay,
don't give out anyone's name.
okay. Don't worry, I'll only scare him.
Shouldn't be difficult for you.
Tell you what, if you want to send him a sending every day, figure out a nice time for it. But be sure to vary it up. You don't want him to expect the sending to be on a scheduled interim. So be 5 minutes late, be 10 minutes early. Sometimes wait till dinner.
Yes. Ah, I
I'm
see.
starting to
Okay.
get it. Y'all like to fuck
Yeah.
with people, don't you?
Every now and again.
All right.
Only the ones that scream out for the opportunity.
Yeah,
And
no, yeah.
Mr. Scaredy Runaway really deserves it.
He
I've believe it or
oh,
not, I've met a few in my day, dealt with a few in my day. All right.
Mr. Tosh abandoned us in a very dangerous moment while we were underneath his employ, and then uh, stole some prospecting and mining rights out from underneath us that would have made us a substantial payday of potentially thousands of gold pieces. Um, so he sort
Yeah,
of stabbed us in the back after abandoning us from the front.
where I come from, we call that a little more than a stab. If you're talking, you said thousands, as in more than 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And and excuse me if this isn't the train of thought y'all were on. He's still alive?
He sort of teleported out and was very hard for us to find. He fled the city immediately while we were still underneath it, battling aberrations in a underwater adventure. Um, right. Can you breathe underwater?
She just kind of looks at you and then kind of looks down at herself. Yeah, a little bit.
Delightful. I won't have to cast a spell on you then.
No.
Sorry, I have some rituals I go over in the mornings that can are
Uh,
sort of preemptive measures, typically. Um,
well, no. Breathing underwater. You don't have to worry about me. I've been doing it for, I think, all my life. Most of it, definitely.
were you born underwater?
No, not underwater.
All right, I believe you.
It's complicated, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does, and no
We
pressure to.
understand complicated.
Mhm. We're all
I'm starting to think so.
we're all very complicated people. And there's no pressure to share anything you're uncomfortable with. Whatever, if you want to talk about it, we're happy to give an open ear. Uh, Speaking of
Well,
some, oh, yes.
I mean, kind of to state the obvious. I mean, I think by looking at me, you can kind of tell I grew up. I think I told you, Glint, around water. I grew up on water, I guess be a more accurate term. I didn't really grow up on land, so the whole walking places thing is kind of new to me. I grew up on a ship on the water, so I guess you could say I don't really hail from a specific land mass.
Grew up on the water. Are you a pirate?
We prefer the term liberator of goods, but sure.
A privateer.
Absolutely. And, I also wasn't a full one. I mean, my parents really ran the outfit. They just kind of taught me how to do things.
showed you the nautical ropes. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I can understand that. I was brought up by craftspeople, so I know my way around quite a few tools. You sort of pick up some things on the environment you're raised in.
Oh
It's
yeah.
something of inevitability. But here I am, a mage. Everyone can pick their own path eventually.
No, definitely, and especially revenge, liars, cheaters. I have had a few too many run-ins with actually, but if revenge is what you're after, that I can get into.
Some of us more ardently than others.
If you're
Personally,
looking for some help.
I think we might be. I'm happy as long as we get some making good on the money that's owed us, and I'm happy to be a little bit of a shithead here and there. But I assume Yvain and Zarvor both have other plans regarding things with more details involved.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna kill that guy.
I can respect it. I can respect good and even.
Just to check, you're not a cop, are you?
No.
You have to tell us if you are.
Hey, Glint.
Right?
We are in sort of a pickle because he probably has information that we need. Do we question him before we kill him, or do we just question him afterwards? What do you think?
Maybe if he gives you very good answers, you could consider not killing him.
I'm sorry, afterwards?
Sometimes it's just easier that way.
Is it?
Again, I'm sorry. After where I come from, and this could be a cultural difference. Where I come from, death is pretty final. Like you die and then that's kind of it. And then she'll kind of cast a look over at Gumbo. But on
Right.
second thought, yeah, all
And
right.
it is absolutely, and it should be. And sometimes, hey, look, Glint, this is your time to shine, brother.
Well, if I must. Well, I think the sanctity of the soul's journey to the afterlife is a precious and sacred thing that should always be respected, and the eternity one earns, whether meritorious or malevolent, following their death, is a matter for them and their gods. However, uh, the things people leave behind, whether they're possessions or the earthly husk of their remains, I'm an ardent believer in recycling. Um, the spirit has clearly left the body. We can prove that metaphysically. We can even conjure spirits back to revive the dead if we need to for those grievously injured. But the body is just a sack of meat, then, isn't it?
You see Kiro's face kind of, as like I said, her her attitude has been very like consistent this entire time. And for the first time, you kind of see it flip on his head, and she becomes really, really serious for a second, and she kind of looks at you and goes, "You saying you can bring people back from the dead?"
I work with the bodies back. I do not bring the souls back.
So you're saying you can bring bodies back, but not the soul. All right.
Gumbo waves from the end of the table.
All right.
I'm in certain circles. I'm what some people refer to as a necromancer.
I've definitely heard the term, though I gotta say, not many of them make it out on the ocean. So you're saying,
you make an Arcana check if you want.
oh gosh,
Regarding.
oh Lord, I panicked. Wait, me?
Yeah, make an Arcana check if you want to see what you know about necromancers.
That's a natural 20, which is really great because I have no modifier for my Arcana.
You were told a lot of stories. You weren't around for it happening, but you were born sort of a couple of years after Vecna, the Whispered One, god of secrets and undeath, unleashed, like basically like undeath across the world upon everybody. So that remains pretty pretty strongly in the mind of the people of Exandria is that very dark time. Nothing that you lived around for, but necromancers are generally not looked upon very kindly, even by the
They
pirates.
definitely would have been a part of the stories that I heard then.
Yes,
Okay.
I think there's a very just
There has
seemingly
to
like
be at
there's a lot
least
of different
one cool ghost ship necromancer captain out there.
Oh, you fucking bet. Not and indeed the number of ghost ship stories that have come up from where you're from, Eklund's exactly
Yeah.
right. Probably skyrocketed. You probably grew up on stories of
Okay.
necromantic ghost ships out in the sea.
Okay.
Generally not liked.
So you're saying, and she now looks very deeply contemplative, like in a trying to wrap her head around it, knowing that, like kind of trying to figure out, like, okay, heard stories, what of it is true, in a very contemplative, like, so you're saying you can take the bodies of people and make them walk around again. The
Mm-hmm.
soul's the only thing you can't bring back,
It's the only thing I shouldn't.
but you could.
If I studied hard enough and was willing to break my own creed, yes, I could.
All right. Scary people. I can respect it. And is that, and I'll kind of gesture to Gumbo, is that what he was?
Um, well, he was I believe a beefstock.
It's
Right.
made from
You
the
did.
beef gumbo, the god of the dead.
Right.
I, ultimately, I can work with almost any physical remains, whether humanoid or animal or otherwise. The trick is pulling threads of negative energy, often from the Shadowfell, or sourced from other parts of the weave in the shadows of it, to form something of a lattice of animating energy, puppeteering, if you will. Uh, Once these constructs are created, they tend to persist. Um, but as long as I manage them with a close hand and a careful eye, I can be sure that they are directed accordingly. Uh, to
It's not like bringing people back to life, then, is it?
No, I have communed with the spirits of the dead, but that has drawn eyes on us and certain punishments that I would rather not invite again. Uh,
Right. Makes sense. Sorry if the question seemed invasive. I really never met most magic types very
hmm,
often, or really stuck around long enough to have a conversation with them about the magic that they practice. So this is all real new to me.
no, not at all. I'm consider me an open door invitation to discuss these sort of things whenever you so feel to. I'm always happy to natter on about it for a little bit.
Thank you. And she'll kind of, for the first time, she'll kind of look at Gumbo and then just assuming that he's staring at her because she just always assumes that he is, or at least has, I don't know, an eyeless eye on her, just kind of like nods at him.
Yeah, he just kind of has been staring at you this entire time.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
That seems fair.
as a necromancer, at least one striving to be a moral necromancer, my findings is that there are a great many ways to use necromancy in a way that is harmful, both to the world and to the spirits that could be trafficked using it. But uh, that is a fault of the caster, not the tool being used. Um, a farmer could kill a man with a pitchfork. An evoker could kill a man with a conjured flame. It is not the fault of the fire or the iron, it is a fault of the hand that wields it, of the will that shapes
You know, I think I'm finally starting to get you.
it. Well, thank you. It does me a world of good.
And she'll kind of
Uh,
cast her eye around the table. Anybody else got anything pressing or?
Uh,
Wait a minute. I have a question for something that I don't know if it's a case of just getting noticed or not, but has Gumbo not been paying some very specific attention to Yvain with her sitting here in the room?
No, I don't believe he has. For whatever he had been paying very extreme odd attention to Yvain for the last little while, but I think as
The
of
mark is gone.
today,
Mhm.
yeah, and as of very notably to the rest of the party, obviously not our newest member, uh, the black mark in the middle of Yvain's forehead is gone, and Gumbo, for the first time, is not just like staring at her, standing as close as he possibly can within the confines of his commands.
So creepy. So creepy.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. We're fine.
If I may ask, congratulations are in order for an blanket statement. Y'all don't have to answer any of my questions. I'm just trying to play catch up, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yvain took on a kindness for me, which earned her a displeasure from the Maiden of Ravens.
Hmm.
That displeasure came with certain markings and side effects. Those apparently have been assuaged, and I didn't notice until just now. And that's why the congratulations.
Hmm. Well, those congratulations are in order. And you see, like, as much as she's trying to hide it, the moment that you mention the Maiden of Ravens, Kiro's face kind of changes, and it's like it twitches for a split second. There's anger, there's a little bit of sadness, like, and she does a very hard job of like hiding it, like as well as she's been keeping everything else kind of contained. There's like that knee jerk, like, her.
Why don't we make that a check? Why don't you give me a deception check there to see how well you're able to hide your expression there, Qiro?
Oh gosh.
If you think it would have been particularly hard to hide it, you may take disadvantage if you choose, if you want to.
Oh, I don't even need disadvantage. I rolled a 4 and I have a +2, so I got a 6.
I think you maybe notice long after everybody else that you kind of made this like kind of kind of scrunched your nose at the name, and anyone at the table would have noticed this apprehension at the name.
Don't worry about it. She's not very high on my list either.
I have a hard time believing she's real high on anyone's list.
Complicated.
I have a measure of respect for the Raven Queen. I do not agree on all of her stances, naturally. If I did, I would not be doing what I do. But I am trying to reach a point of discussion with our clergy on establishing some ideas where things could be loosened in certain stances. So it's complicated,
As is anything I'm finding out.
as is anything.
So, given what you understand about us, would you be interested in coming with us in a couple of days to poke around underground?
For glory, riches, and the chance of a little revenge after that? Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, I suppose this would be the point where we figure out what do we need to do to prep for a a fraught situation that likely is going to involve magma land sharks.
Well,
Yvain's friend, right? We need to talk to her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll visit her tonight, and I'll be able to report in the morning at breakfast.
Well, I think it's easy enough to to make a few assumptions. Uh, who here is fire retardant?
I can be.
Because that's likely going to be a thing.
Not I, clearly.
I, I'm not. Can we change that? Is there something that that can
I'm real
help?
flammable.
Okay, so this is stupid. This is stupid, and the answer is probably no, and that's fine. I'm just gonna throw it out there. We have red dragon scales that can be made into armor. That's resistant. How long does it take? I don't remember. We've got
Longer than one day.
okay, that's all I need. Thank you. Never mind.
I Zobel, did I scribe some scrolls for you ages back for some resistance to the elements? I feel as if I might have when last we fought the dragon below Emon.
Oh, I feel like you did too. Let me take a look in my pack
This was
here, see if
for
I've got them.
you and Finch, both, if memory serves. I gave you both some defensive magics, but those
Yes,
might help in the pinch.
certainly.
I could at least make one more by the morning.
Everybody says we
Past.
could always take a trip to Gilmore's.
That is true. He could head back that way while they're still open.
Oh, that's actually not a bad idea.
I
Could
I have a question. There's an air bubble spell that I can use, but I know we have water breathing. Are we only worried about being underwater and having to breathe, for which we have a spell and which should probably just cast prophylactically? Do we want to have the air bubble as well?
Absolutely.
All right.
Uh,
Let me see if I can cast
where
it.
you find magma and fire, intense fire more generally, uh, the air can become toxic. And while breathing underwater is fine, how do you do? I'm pretty certain that a sulfurous cloud does not water make.
Sorry. Question from the uninitiated, just to make sure that I know, what I'm agreeing to, because, gold, riches, all that's great. So you're saying magma sharks obviously sound horrendous. I'm assuming we don't really know much about them because no one's really expounded on them now. You're saying we could get poisoned by the air. I heard fire elementals mentioned. I know y'all fought a dragon, but is this worth it?
Oh, it's almost never worth it. I've been bitten half by a dragon almost twice now.
Well, you got
When you
better
say
each time.
almost, when you say almost, how close is almost?
Well, all right. In fairness,
Pretty
one time
close.
you almost got dropped in magma the one time. He wasn't going to eat you. It was only the one time you were going to get eaten.
That's
And
fair.
the vortex warp got you right out of there. We
I
could
know, I
get you
love
Right.
right
that
out of
spell.
there.
Nick,
You said you're a
Beverly
good
will just
healer, right?
Yvain is a superlative healer.
Beverly
Alright.
will say, will just sort of like almost whisper quietly. She'll be like, "It's gonna hurt. Most of the things we do hurt a lot."
So
Thank you.
these
Okay.
creatures sound elemental, above table, off table, which isn't necessarily Glint's wheelhouse, but I'll ask, would Glint have any uh, recollection of any kind of thing similar to these creatures or their qualities, or have researched them at any point? Um,
I definitely don't think so.
yeah, that's totally fair.
Given your background and
Mhm.
how recent these things have come into like literal existence, I don't think it's something that would have been in your purview to have studied.
Yeah, that makes sense. We could ask around about them.
Yeah, before Yvain does her thing to talk with Honor, you know, it's I don't know if the Collegium is open, but they may have a treatise.
Hmm. My question would be: are they elemental creatures or simply monstrosities? Because if their origin is extraplanar,
This is
then
different
that
spells to prepare, yeah.
and
Well,
Are they aberrations?
they could be.
Say they're
But
aberrations. Say
they're
it.
tied to the Cinder King.
and
The who now?
the Cinder King was an an odd duck too, because while he was a a dragon, he also had that embedded heart of fire, whatever thing he was, that had him
Hmm.
Nyx is gonna lean
with an
over to.
essence of elemental material tied to him. That's why the fire Ashari are still here, keeping
Well,
a
It's
cap
true.
on the scar.
if I were to
Uh,
make it,
give it a moment. Nyx, go ahead.
Nyx is gonna lean over to Qiro and be like, "Don't worry, I don't know half of what they're talking about either. Like most of this stuff is definitely before me."
Right. I just need to know when I need to hit things, what I need to hit, and preferably how much it's going to hurt me when I do.
A lot.
hmm.
It is. It's going to hurt a lot.
All
But
right.
that kind of can do attitude is exactly what's going to make things simple because honestly, if you just like run through, you'll know when to hit things and eventually
Hmm.
it'll all make sense, right?
So
Right.
from
It's
what we
fake it till you make
saw,
it.
of one of Thordack's children,
I know.
potentially one of Thordack's children, my guess would be elemental creatures. Now I could be totally wrong, and we could end up eating shit for it. But um, if we use some warding magics against, say, outsider forces, that could help our frontliners survive. Um, I imagine some potions of resistance to elements such as fire could be helpful. Um, Unfortunately, I don't think I have the timetable of a night to make those, but we could see if they have any in supply. They may have already been bought up, given that we're not the only ones going down there.
Gilmore's might have them, yeah.
They might. They could be planning for a fire sale. Who knows? But
I
Clever.
see what you did there.
thank you. How many skeletons should I prepare?
All of the
All of them.
skeletons.
All of them?
Yeah. How many is all of them?
Well,
That
Well,
let
that
me.
was going to be my question.
the average weight of the human skeleton is approximately 26 pounds, and I have roughly 500 pounds of bones, plus the skeleton of a plains cow, so in theory I could make approximately 20, but only 4 would be currently equipped.
You have dragon bones, 6 of them.
I could
How
make, in theory, then 26, but only 4 would be equipped.
Kiro's going to lean back over to Nyx and go, "How much of that magic lemon juice do you have?"
I've got you. I've got you as much as you want.
Right. All right. I'm just going to need.
my question is, we had an opportunity to see what the exhalation was like on the uh assuming spawn, but
Mhm.
Thordack's spawn in the sewers. Uh, how how well are would your skeletons hold up to that?
It depends how many I make. I could make a few and focus on their durability. Um, Now,
And you've only got accoutrement for a small number anyway currently. Is that
yes,
my understanding?
I could prepare more if I spend the night doing so. I always simply need someone to fetch raw material for me. Not bones. I'm not asking you to get me more skeletons. I only have about enough iron left for maybe another suit of armor. So if you want to either pick up some weaponry or maybe see if you could get me a few £100 of bulk iron and metal and some canvas and leather, I could make enough to gear up maybe 6 to 8 of the little boys.
Iron I may not be able to help with. Canvas and leather above table. We're next to the you said we're right next to the port, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
We are, yeah.
Like ships coming in and out. I
Oh, yeah.
mean, different port, different town, but I mean, I grew up around these ships. They're bound to have a few 100 pounds of it lying around.
Indeed. Even
So,
shark skin or ray skin would work fine. It's mostly for straps and buckles and that sort of thing.
I might be able to
how
bargain and get you some.
how much more durable versus bulk are we talking? If you bring 8, are they twice as strong as if you brought 20? Or if you bring 4, they're I don't.
I think I could comfortably safeguard an honor guard of perhaps 6 of them.
Well, that might be the target number then is outfit the 6, making them as durable and resilient as can be had.
So we'd only need armor for 2?
Correct. And I can fashion that out of the raw material if needed. It would be much less expensive than purchasing it from a craftsman, and perhaps a little bit less suspicious. But anything would work. I'm not too picky.
Need armor? Do they need weapons?
I have 3 solid weapons currently. I can sculpt a few more. They could stand to have, say, short bows or crossbows.
I could lend a crossbow. I've got 2. I don't really need 2 at one time.
You have 2 crossbows?
Yes. Hand ones.
Oh, for the
Cha-cha.
fashion. One on each hip.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Well, very cool. If you wanted to. Otherwise, I might just have some daggers I could throw or something along those lines.
Dear Lord, which type of crossbow? The simple light type,
Correct.
or would the heavier ones be of better import?
I've had them use the heavy ones before. It just is I left several £100 of equipment at the foot of a mountain back near Vasselheim.
I understand. If it's a matter of getting them something, I think that the hand crossbows are, and Ember will look at the relatively delicate hand crossbows that are sitting on Nyx's hip, and they strike me as being a little vulnerable to fire, where a heavy crossbow, even if the string gets singed to the point that it's not viable, it does make for a very nice club.
It does at that.
That's a very good point.
Tell you what, if I can give you a little list of what I would need in what amounts, I could begin animating and shaping tonight. Would you be all right if I gave you that list?
So A quick above table, Ryan. Uh, base gear like the heavy crossbow, pretty much book cost onto it.
Heavy crossbow?
Yeah,
All right, let me go take a look.
50
Crossbow
gold pieces
cost.
is what the bog standard book is.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, what's the
What's
question?
Well, I'm just wondering if base non-magical, non anything special gear, uh, in that respect, if it's just to speed the buy process through to
Oh yeah, you're in Emon. You can go. You can buy as many as you want. Yeah.
because six of those is 300. That's easy
Mhm.
enough to underwrite.
Yeah, then plus whatever the
Oh, and as a quick side note to Yvain and Zarval, really quick, because I know you guys have your armory in there, and like I read it, it's a freaking cash dump. It's like every time you use it, you have to completely restock it, which is ludicrous.
That's why we're
Um,
getting away with it.
yeah, what I said in the other games is that I think I said I'd make it like a quarter of the cost to restock it, which is basically maintenance cost for ammos and resharpening and polishing and buckles and stuff. So just as a note, if you guys wanted to use your armory, it's not a total fucking dump of money. If you're the first one is a full price, but to maintain it after an attack is just a quarter price.
So to be clear, we're everything is based on what we can carry, and Yvain, you look at, she's like, I can't carry much, right? So we want to be able to leave some heavy things here. We want them to be safe. So I know we're getting rid of the barracks and the armory, but we can go ahead and put out the orders to recruit. We can tell the armory to go buy the stuff. If TAC can't cover it, if the Concordant can't cover it, then I can cover it. And that way our things are protected a little bit while we're gone, which is the purpose of the armory and such.
What's the dollar value that you need to get covered?
Actually, before we get in that, I think above the table we're not to the next bastion turn yet.
Uh, it's actually today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we could we'll have a bastion turn around the end here. It
the
won't
armor.
take too long.
It would probably, if you want to simply purchase it from another craftsman, it would probably cost you about 1,500 gold. Otherwise, you could spend 10 gold and bring me about 90 pounds of iron and some leather and canvas, and I'll sort that out tonight.
So I'll as a note, folks, um, we'll do the delve next session. So I'm going to consider this session your prep session, and anything you don't get done this session, like you know, as for like maintaining like what's in your inventory, what you're leaving at home, all of that kind of thing, like you guys can do that behind the screen just fine. I don't really care, but we will be doing it next session. We will be doing the delve next session, so we're not
Awesome.
gonna. Yeah, I just don't want us to get bogged down in like
Yeah.
logistics and preparation forever and ever. So we will be
Thank
doing
you.
the delve tomorrow
Mhm.
or next session, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I'm understanding Glint is saying, hey, don't use the armory. It'll be less expensive just if he works his magic
Mhm.
to arm the all right, well then, so we just order the barracks to recruit then?
Yeah. If you can get the
Right.
crossbows for me, I can make the armor. I have healing potions in supply. You'd probably
Well,
want to check in for fire protections. Go ahead.
I think we're talking about two different things, right? Glenn's talking about arming the skeletons, and Yvain's talking about arming the bastion
Armory.
defenders.
Yeah. What's the tap for the bastion hiring equipping?
1,500.
Well, to hire them, I don't think it costs anything, does
It
it?
doesn't cost anything to actually hire them, but arming them with better equipment is
What week of the downtime is this? Is this going into week 2?
We're going into week 2, yeah.
Okay.
This will be a new bastion.
312.
Well, why don't we just handle that now? It seems like that's where the conversation's going, so we might as well just take care of it. So I'm just going to go down the list of your facilities and what orders you've given, and you guys can decide if you want to. I imagine most of them are going to be standing orders, so we'll just wrap this up real quickly. Okay, I've got harvest potions order from, I believe it is your greenhouse, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and she will have 1 potion of greater healing that someone who needs one can pick up. I know that Zarvog should be down both of his now.
All right, so that comes from your greenhouse. And you would like to keep the order going?
Yes, please.
Okay. So yeah, you're the lucky recipient of a greater potion of healing. Let's see, what's next? Trade goods. Because I believe you use your downtime for other stuff, Glint. So
Glint helped purchase the trade goods the last time around and spent the opening week, I believe, doing so.
I thought I recalled that you did something else with your time. I thought you initially said you were going to do that and then ended up, I don't know what it was. Copying spells, magic items.
What I know for sure is that I did already deduct whatever dollar amount I was told to from my gold, because Glint currently has 150 gold on person. So I did already input the gold cost of whatever was decided on for it.
Okay. I believe we decided that your contribution would subtract 400 gold from the initial 2,000.
From the front end, correct.
From the front end, that's right. So
the back end was all Tally's work.
Yeah, so I'll say that let me look at my calendar here and make sure I'm getting this right. What did you get up to? You spoke to Alistair. Chris, you got up to some other stuff. What did you do in your last downtime last session? Do you remember?
Glint was drawing up plans for the dagger, which I also have all the materials for, and getting that delivered to the workshop. So the first week they'd made 3 Moonforged rapiers.
That's right. You were smithing, weren't you?
I believe that since it was going to take Glint at least 3 weeks regardless, even with the workshop's help to make the dagger, that they were going to give it to the workshop to... I don't know, Glint actually would have to take part in that. So they were going to start on that in week 2, once the time was available. So they have the materials, but they haven't actually started on it yet because they have to be on hand for it, but they were making the rapiers as the initial kind of warm-up phase first.
Got it. So you didn't help, because that's... Let me go look at your order here real quick for the workshop. Yeah, so they're currently making them. You didn't have any hand in aiding with that, or you just bought materials?
For the rapiers, those are wholly made by them, but that was week 1. Glint ducked in to kind of observe here and there and see how they were doing, but did not actually help craft.
Understood. Gotcha. Okay, yeah, then yeah, it seems your contributions were largely to the storehouse then. Okay, cool. Fantastic. Sorry about that. I just wanted to clarify. So yeah, they would have purchased all of the goods for 16,000 gold thanks to your personal connections. Or 16,000, Jesus, 1,600.
Good Lord.
Jesus Christ. Sorry,
we're not average.
We're not that cool yet. So you wanna issue the order for them to begin selling?
Correct.
Okay. I will put that in there. Okay, and they'll begin the 20% sale this week. Sale week. Cool. Okay, the garden is making food because it is a single shot food, which is delivered to the orphanage. And you wish to continue the standing order of them harvesting food?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. The sacristy creates holy water as previously ordered. You want them to continue to do so?
Yes, please.
Okay, excellent. Sacristy. How did we go about them creating? Am I missing something here? Oh, I'm looking at the Santa. I was like, what's going on? So yes, you are the proud owner of. You just got standard holy water, right?
The standing order was for holy water. Yeah, it's just regular. Oh yeah, no, not the strong stuff. Just like the normal stuff.
Beauty. Okay, so add a flask of holy water to your inventory, and they will continue to create more. Yep, for free. No problem there. All right, almost down that list. Yeah, the garden's making food. And the workshop is making 3 moon-touched rapiers, which I think is going to have to continue because it's a.
They were able to finish it in, I believe, 1 week because it was a common item and it was a week's worth of crafting, and there's 3 hirelings in the workshop.
Beautiful. Yeah, that sounds right to me. Then I should have worked down better, but I'm going to just have to check to make sure I got it right. Implements for the using standard. Okay, yeah, we'll just say that they got. Oh yeah, that's right. No, I'm recalling now. Yeah, they got them all done. So you're the proud owner of 3 moon-touched rapiers. Beauty, do you want to issue any new orders for the workshop as it has completed its task?
Yeah. So Glint can't have them work on the Inspelled Dagger because if it casts a spell, he has to actually lead that project and directly help, and we're going to be delving.
Right.
So that's going to be kind of on layaway. Like the materials will be in the workshop, but that isn't starting yet. He's going to have them make, I think, 3 more touched rapiers.
Okay. Okay. They're like, all right, you got it. Your hireling goes, but if you want me to do anything more, like we talked about, anything more, oh no, interesting, let me know.
Soon, once I'm back from our little expedition, I'll get back with you and we'll start on that properly.
Okay, fine. I'll just keep doing this completely legitimate work. Yep, I'll be over here, and we'll indeed go to work. I think that's our facilities. I know that there is our training room, but it hadn't been issued any orders. Training area.
We'll have a new, yeah, I mean, if we're getting ready to enter the next round, I'll be using that if nobody has an objection.
Not at all.
In that case, I think we're going to empower battle expert training.
All right, you need to spend at least 8 hours on each of these days gaining the benefits. So you're gonna go to work here pretty hard. There will be time to do the delve, so long as it doesn't take too long. But you're gonna be this guy's gonna run you ragged for a little bit. So your weapon expert will begin your training.
And then the barracks, I believe we did ask them. I believe we finally ended up deciding to ask them to recruit last turn, and we'll ask them to recruit again this turn. I think that's going to end us up eventually at the end of the 2 turns with 8 defenders. And then I will also issue the order for the armory to begin crafting armor for those 8 defenders.
Understood. Let's see. So yeah, 4 defenders. Okay, so so you've currently got 4 defenders, recruiting 4 more, and your armory is purchasing for 8.
Right. So I believe that's 900 gold altogether to arm them.
Check real quick.
I think it's 100 plus 100 for each defender.
Okay. Let's see. 100 plus 100 for each time. Yep. So 900 gold. Absolutely.
Yep. All right. We'll go ahead and do that.
Okay. Defenders, beautiful. Okay, and I believe that brings us to the end of our Bastion turn. Sweet. Cool, that didn't take too long. Beautiful. Sweet. So, as we're kind of opening up the rest of the day and tomorrow, is there anything anyone would like to do as they begin to prepare?
Yeah. Would Ember be willing to handle purchasing the crossbows for
Yeah.
Glint? Excellent. Because all of my money is tied up in the storehouse at the moment. Okay, so Glint's going to. I will foot the bill for the 10 gold of raw materials and shape up the remainder of the equipment using Fabricate for 2 more suits of half plate, 2 more shields, and then ideally, if I have the spell slots, let me double check. I believe I do. 3rd level, so 3/4 level, 5. And plus a short rest. And then 2 new rapiers, 3 new rapiers. And those are all gradually going into the bag of holding, along with a very specific amount of bones for 6 skeletons.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. Purchase is made. Is there anything else anyone else wants to get up to, just sort of logistically speaking?
Didn't we want to get to Gilmore's so we can start looking for certain supplies?
Sure.
Yeah, you guys want to do a little Gilmore's trip?
I'd
Well,
like to tag along on that trip, please.
Absolutely.
I think
incredibly sweet.
first things first is let's learn what we can learn about the magma land sharks first. See if there's
Okay.
anything additional. Then do the shop at Gilmore's because that might give us a better plan of scope.
Fair enough. Tell you what, it's a good idea, Ember. Why don't you make me let's call it an investigation check to think of your best bet for learning a little bit more about your potential adversaries.
That'll be a 26.
Very good. There is a number of options that come to mind. You know that the city guards often lethally well, whenever it happens, like once a year or two, they will lethally tangle with them. Some more veteran members of the town guard might know a little bit about them, but they're grunts. They can only be expected to know so much. Who would truly probably be the most reliable source would be the Ashari, who you guys have met. The Fire Ashari, who are responsible for the maintenance of Thordack's crater and his fallout around the moon. So chances are, and to add to your investigation, Ember, you know that Thordack's crater is closed to the public. And maybe as a kid, you even like went out there, I don't know, or heard rumors of kids going out there, like, whatever. It's sealed behind like stone wall. So looking back on that story now, you think maybe it's sealed by druidic magic. It's possible that the Ashari would be present tomorrow on the day, which means that they're probably in the city right now because it's a bit of a trek to get from here to their little fort.
And
so that is your
I'm gonna go.
moment.
I'll go look for dear God, his name just left my freaking head.
Nero?
Yeah, Nero's ex, Amara.
Amara. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, should know.
Because
she
was the one that we met at the Scar.
Oh yeah. Oh, that would be so much better. Yeah, because then we could just know now. We don't have to wait till tonight. Perfect.
All right. All right. Okay. We'll divide and conquer a little bit. So Ember, you're gonna go try and seek out Amara in the city, wherever she may be positioned. There's a trip to Gilmore's going on. Is there a third objective, or are those kind of our two teams?
Yeah, I mean, separate. I would like to go to Gilmore's, but separate from that, obviously, I'm going to want to try and get in 8 hours in the training facility.
Yeah, no problem. I will assume you're getting your 8 hours in until such a time as there are circumstances that would keep you from it.
Sure.
So we'll make that assumption going forward that you're going down there and getting the work in. Excellent. Um, okay. Why don't we start with we've done some logistical stuff, so let's go to a bit of an RP thing. Who's going with Ember to go see your old friend Amara? Vane, you're going with?
Yeah, absolutely. But before I do, I would like to do. I'm gonna try to do it stealthily, but I am not very stealthy. I would like to give our new friend a once over and evaluate their equipment based on the ability maybe to encounter undead and the ability to maybe encounter heartier things that might require beefier equipment. Because if we're going to Gilmore's, we should just take care of it now.
Make me an Arcana check.
I'm not best at this. No. No. That was a 6.
A
No
6?
idea. Yeah.
To your eye, Qiro looks like your or at least their equipment looks to be like a very normal standard, like sickle and scimitar and studded armor and shields. There's nothing about Qiro that would look magical to you.
Did you want me to? I know we talked a little bit about sparring. We want to go a couple of rounds and see what she's got?
I'm ready whenever you are.
All right, to the courtyard.
All right.
Round 1, fight.
When they're out of earshot, Yvain is going to say to Ember, "Okay, we need to manage, like maybe upgrade their equipment a little bit before we take them under Emon."
We'll see how she does with Sarvog, and we will lean on equipment thereafter accordingly.
Fair enough.
Huh? So, a little bit of an exhibition, it seems. You guys go out to the garden to watch the spectacle unleash. A couple of the guards are sort of standing around outside. Ellen Wee, the furball gardener, sort of like getting themselves done. I'll say the party kind of like goes and hangs out around the. Oh God, you're wrong, dog, dude. Yeah, you guys all go hang out on the balcony and kind of watch the show. So I'm just gonna set the scene a tad. I'm gonna say that the friends and pets are there, but I'm not gonna drop all their names around. Oh, right. We haven't been screen sharing this whole time. Dang it. Sorry, guys. I blame Glint. It's her fault. No, it's fine. It's all good. It's my fault. Okay. Mix. You're there. You head on down, and yeah, you kind of, Qiro, it seems that, like, without a word, you just kind of get steered into the courtyard, and Qiro watches. It's sort of like standing at the edge of the garden, nervously. Just like,
I don't know what to expect. Like, the breaking out into fighting isn't so much like she's used to it, but also y'all are scary people.
Yeah, you guys are scary people.
Yeah.
Ben will stay aside. Ben, the warhound, is not going to eat your liver.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we won't involve him. He gets a little excitable.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly spar.
Right.
I'm not sure I'm ready to take on the dog to kill the Minotaur yet. I think it might take a second.
So this will be very friendly. There's no reason for us to beat the daylights out of each other.
All right.
We'll do a few rounds, and I'll use this. And he kind of points to his crossbow, and then we'll separate, get back together, and we'll try a little melee. How's that?
Fair warning, like I said, I do
Yeah.
like it up close and personal.
Absolutely, come at me. We'll just we'll try and get an idea of what it is that you're most comfortable with and how we can best utilize you, especially if we're going down underground for a little while.
All right.
But
Well, you see, you're
no
kind of.
no malice
Sorry,
or
go ahead.
damage intended. It's just going to be a little bit of a skills check.
Well, you see her kind of when she realizes that, like, okay, we're doing this. Kind of like I mentioned, she kind of just has everything on her, so she kind of drops her pack, drops everything except for the scimitar on her back and then the sickle on her side, and then she has a shield. And then when you gesture to her crossbow, she kind of takes the scimitar out from her side. She holds it in one hand and then takes the sickle out and holds it in the other, and just kind of she's ready.
All right. And he will pull out what is actually this is might be a little intimidating, but it's actually a giant a giant heavy crossbow. It looks like a slightly smaller version of kind of a ballista that you would see on the side of a castle or whatever. It's got, instead of the two arms that you would have for a normal crossbow, it's actually got six that intersect kind of like a flower. And it is big and heavy, and at the bottom, if you look close enough, you can see that there's a place for like a flip down pod for
Tripod.
legs to be fired from the ground. But he'll keep that up underneath for now. But this is a big kind of almost siege looking weapon. It's fairly substantial.
Qiro,
He definitely-
you ever played any of the second, third, or fourth Dragon Age game?
Yes.
You know Varric's giant crossbow?
Yes.
It's like that, but
Oh boy.
extra arms
Extra. Okay. Oh. All
and a
right.
tripod on it, like that. You have to lay down to
The-
use
the
it like a sniper rifle.
The funniest thing is the tripod is the scariest part, because why can you put it down? Why?
In
All
case
right.
we're shooting from cover, but that won't be
And you can-
necessary in this.
And you can kind of see, like, Qiro gets a little cockier than you saw. Like, as soon as she has both her weapons in hand, she definitely looks like she is comfortable being in this position. And then she sees you pull out your crossbow, and just for a second, there's like a, oh, okay, got it.
I imagine
Alright,
Beverly like drag like dragging it across the yard and squiring it over to use our bow.
All right.
All right. You ready? We're going to start a little fast. And he'll take a number of hopefully maybe we even have some laying around, some training arrows obviously that aren't that don't have sharpened or piercing points on them, just for blunt
good.
damage, I suppose. Yeah, we're not trying to bloody anybody up.
So you do have some bludgeoning arrows on you instead.
Ow.
Slash and
Preemptively. Ow.
That is fair.
Couple
All right,
of
roll me some initiative, folks.
Gosh.
Okay.
I have a 12.
Well, like I said, we're going to start a little fast. So 23.
All right. Of course.
The Ranger
All right,
is
let's
on his
go.
game. What do you do, Ranger?
All right. I'm going to start with a bonus action Hunter's Mark.
Okay.
And then I will take my regular 3 first round attacks. All at advantage since I'm going first and they haven't attacked yet.
All right, go for it.
So that's a 23 on the first one.
Hits.
Okay. Let me roll up a little damage here. So that's going to be 19 damage on the first one. And then I'll go ahead with the next 2 attacks.
Right? I'll describe it all in the end. Just lay into the newbie, you monster.
Why not?
That's an 18 to hit on the. I'm
That
sorry,
hits.
a 20 to hit anyway. Okay.
It hits either way.
Ooh, that one's gonna hurt a little bit. That's going to be 22 damage on the second one.
Okay. Okay.
And it's going to be a 27 to hit on the third one.
Hits.
For 15 total damage.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right. So that's the first round for Czar. Basically, pumps out moves. This is what you will eventually learn is that quick reaction is sort of his bread and butter. So as soon as we both agree that we're ready to go, almost with lightning speed, he pulls forth this, he whips out the gigantic crossbow and pumps off 3 quick shots that apparently come at you a little faster than you can dodge. And three blunt arrows to the meatier portions of your torso, probably. And
I will say,
I will take some time to move.
There you go.
Let's see. What kind of space do we have here?
People walking in the street. Some people are kind of like, whoa, and like kind of are like, oh,
So
okay. And then
So kind of the smooth stone area we've got?
that's technically your property. Yeah, the smooth stone.
Yeah. All right. I guess I will move kind of what would be northeast if we're looking at the map, and try to use like my 40 feet of movement.
You're gonna go run down the alley,
north.
though.
Yeah, but essentially, right? I just want to put some distance between myself and them.
So Qiro, you fought on the deck of ships, and rangers are utilized in your line of work. And immediately he's like, okay, you ready? You're like, yeah, I'm ready. And then just like when you thought you were ready, but you really weren't. And he just like ambushes you with like boom, 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 like rubber bullets you basically like 3 times. And as you like are catching your breath, he goes tearing off down the alley away from you.
Cool. I will definitely say one of her nostrils is definitely bleeding. Like she's not doing well. Oh gosh. Seeing what just happened, she's going to immediately, like, we've kicked it up. She's going to immediately drop both weapons that she has and kind of flex one of her hands, and you'll see kind of out of like the palm of her hand, it almost looks like a trident drops into it, and she'll, I don't know, because it takes a bonus action to do that. If I can still attack with my action, I'm basically just gonna rear back, and then not even aiming for him, I'm gonna aim for the crossbow itself, just to kind of like knock it out of commission.
Okay. Hey, go for it.
And so I don't know how far away is he from me.
He is currently considered 50 feet from you. It would take 45 to get into melee. Yeah.
Okay.
You could easily run into trident throwing range if that's what you're.
I was gonna say, kind of like a javelin. I'm gonna use, because I have 30 feet of movement. I'm gonna kind of like I said, kind of javelin it and run kind of like my 30 feet and then throw it as hard as I can. Because I think the first range increment is 20 feet. So do I get within 20 feet, or am I still?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you're totally good. Roll me an attack roll. I will give you your. I'll give you your AC damage stuff as I'm looking it up right here for the weapon itself.
Okay.
Go for it.
15.
Let's see. This thing is made mostly of wood, so I would say that definitely meets the AC. of
Okay.
wood. So yeah, Zarvo, you've got your crossbow kind of across your center, and she like hucks it at you, and you kind of are like, oh yeah, I've got my thing here to block with it, and then don't realize like that's what she's going for, and as the trident sinks into your item, go ahead and roll damage.
So I have two different things. I have piercing damage is 1d8, and then there's like a 1d10 plus 4 underneath it. I'm assuming it's like the 1d10, is that like when I throw it, or is it the 1d8?
One's probably ranged, and one's...
One's that's one is for one-handed and one's for two-handed. So since you're throwing it, it's considered one-handed. So you use the
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
That is 6 points of damage.
6 points of damage. Let me see here. How is it doing? 6 points of damage. The trident gets thrown across the yard, like it bounces off, it sinks in, and then kind of the back weight of the actual polearm sort of like tilts it over. The momentum kind of carries over, and it ends up like splintering the crossbow pretty badly. It's still a functioning crossbow, but like you damage the crossbow like pretty decently. If you were to do that again, you'd probably break the crossbow, which is
Okay.
not beyond repair, to be very clear, but
Yeah.
you would be able to decommission it for the fight if you did it again.
So then you tell me, because to summon it isn't it's a bonus action. From what I saw, like dismissing it it says that it's like a non-action. Can I do that if it's that far away or no?
Yeah.
So then
if
as
it's
soon
a
as I see it bounce off, I'm just gonna I'm basically she's gonna snap her fingers and it's gonna disappear again.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll vanish, and you can begin to resummon it on your next turn if that is your wish. So we'll say that. So that's actually better flavor. So the trident very pristinely like slashes into the side of the crossbow between the strings, so it'd still be functional, and then it just, as you're suddenly like holy, like all the weight of all the things on it, Zarbo, it just vanishes from out of your crossbow and disappears into the ether.
Oh, I like that. Very nice. Smart. Nice move.
First time anyone here has ever seen anything like that, I believe. This is the first time anyone's ever seen someone just like summon a weapon from nothing and then it dismisses. It's very cool. Very Final Fantasy 15.
I could use that.
Is there anything else for your turn there, Qiro?
I think I used 30 feet, action, bonus action. Nope, I think that's it.
Excellent, fantastic. That brings us to your turn, Zarval.
All right. I'll go ahead and drop the Bastilla, and I'll use my action to draw the Gambler's Blade and the hand crossbow.
What are you gambling with it? Usual?
Yeah, oh yeah, +3.
Okay.
Or -3, I guess it is -3. And then I will... So for this turn, I'll use my action to do that. I'm happy to do that. And then I will just use my movement to kind of strafe from on the screen right to left 30 feet so that I'm kind of over here north of the garden.
North of the garden as in like that?
No, right straight across. So I kind of like, I think that's Fen probably. Like, yeah. Yep, like there.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Ellen was very bravely standing in the middle of this fight, like, no, please don't. And she's just like protecting the garden at all costs.
All right, okay, and that's my turn.
That's your turn. Beautiful. Qiro, or yeah, I hope it's Qiro. There we go. What would you like to do?
How far can I get within melee range with 30 feet, or is he farther away than that? Can I? Okay.
Nah, you got it. Yeah, it's 25 feet.
Or, you get to it. I want to move all the way up to him. For flavor, I will say, like, hearing somebody go, not the garden, not the plant, she's like, okay, fine. And so she'll try not to trample the plants, but, like, going into a dead sprint straight towards him, and then as soon as I get up to him, basically, like, using all of my momentum, throwing a haymaker with my right hand.
Oh, we're getting the fisticuffs out, huh?
I'm aiming straight for the tusk he showed me at lunch.
Yeah, go ahead, make an unarmed strike.
I love it.
Damn.
That's fantastic.
I love that.
Fine.
That's great. Street brawler.
Gosh, what is it?
The streets were ready for Qiro.
It's a 12. I doubt it hits.
A 12 does not hit, unfortunately.
So I'll say that like she does land it, but like it's sort of like that you block with your face kind of thing, where like she comes in for like the tusk, and you kind of like you didn't expect it, so you don't have enough time to get out of the way, but you do like put your forehead into it, so it bounces off your forehead rather than your nose, and it doesn't damage you, but you're just like, what? Like you don't usually get just like decked in combat. So you're like,
if she sees you catch it with your face, she definitely nods and is like, all right, okay.
It's tender enough. I don't think you could feel a lot on the right side. So, well, you got regenerated. You're good. Oh, is there anything else? Is there a bonus action?
Actually, I don't know.
You want your trident back?
I do. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna use my bonus action to flash that back out and kind of not like I'm gonna kind of hold it so it's angled away from him and behind me.
Nice.
Also,
nice.
I realized I didn't really describe what it looked like. It has kind of a jagged point on the top, and then has these two kind of fins that curve down. The staff is wooden, and then it has kind of the two same fins on the other side. Like I said, the staff is wooden, and it has leather kind of wrapped around it. The blades themselves are kind of like this pinkish purple that looks dull and almost rusted. It's not rusted over, but it looks like it's seen some things.
Very nice. So she like punches you in the forehead, Zalrog, you're like rings your bell a little, unsurprisingly. And then as like that fist comes back, fist still held, you kind of like bring the fist back around and kind of like get into that ready stance. The trident just like magically like forms out of her hand like a lightsaber and reappears to her hand.
I like it. This is some spirited and creative fighting. I appreciate that. All right, you ready for a little melee?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right. And so he has in his hand a very sort of decorative scimitar with kind of, they're not real jewels, but meant to look like jewels, inlaid in the handle. It's meant to be functional, but also sort of decorative, and to be sort of ostentatious and flashy. So he's got that in one hand, and then the other hand he just has your basic run-of-the-mill hand crossbow in his offhand. I will go ahead and attack with both of those. First the blade. It's going to be a 21 to hit.
Hits.
All right.
You also do notice this entire time, Qiro is like smiling. Like she genuinely looks like she's having so much fun.
Good, yeah. Zarvolg would be too. He definitely has a very like alive and energetic and amused look on his face. It's like somebody who's enjoying playing a sport, right? Mm-hmm. So that would be 15 damage from the Gambler's Blade, and then I'll take my crossbow attack. Is going to be a 28 to hit from the hand.
Yeah, that hits.
And that's going to be 12 more damage.
So the first hit knocked me unconscious. The question is, where are you aiming that crossbow?
Well, if you would have fallen unconscious, then he would have not fired it.
Oh, good. Okay. As long as it wasn't aimed at my head, I'd have been fine.
Eventually, like, I'm gonna end this.
We just met her 2 hours ago.
No, as soon as she went to the ground, and we can even play it that she doesn't necessarily go unconscious, but loses her footing and goes to the ground and kind of has to collect herself. So as soon as that happens, he's going to stow weapons and help her back up and say, Evie, can we have a little help?
So, Happy trots up to you.
Oh boy. I was wondering who he was.
Yeah, right.
And-
Happy's like nods at you and like jumps off the balcony and like lands like it's a rabbit, but it's pretty high. It's like a 10-foot tall. Like lands on your chest, Qiro. You kind of like a little bit.
Lovely. The same rabbit that I saw eat meat off the table. Okay, great.
That one, yeah.
Yeah.
With the unicorn, and let's go give it 3rd level heal wounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I like that for the days. Feeling good to me. Oh, but it was a shit roll. Seriously. Okay, hold on. I got to do some math because I got 2 ones. I can roll those again. So 24 minus 2 is 22. So 22, 7 is 29, and 4 is 33, and a d4 is 4, 34, or 33, and 4 is 37.
37?
Tasty.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the bunny just sort of lands on you and touches you with his horn, and you feel a bit better.
There's definitely a cough. There's definitely a cough when the buddy lands on me, and then there's like a thank you, and she looks down at Happy and says thank you, and then like looks up and is like thank you.
So Zarvog will clap Qiro on the shoulder and say, "Very nice. That was actually very impressive. Incredibly creative weapon work and nice movement, and it was nice spirit. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Sorry if I went a little heavy on the damage. And above the table, sorry about the heavy damage. That was I didn't necessarily know that I was going to hit with every shot. And he also happens to be, just to explain how that happened, he happens to humanoids are his favorite enemy, so he gets a bonus for that. And then on top of that, the bonus for the hunter's mark. So you were getting heavy damage bonuses on both of those.
Oh yeah, no. As soon as you said hunter's mark, I was like, I'm in danger.
Yeah, I should have gone a little. I should have gone a little easier. Sorry about that.
And as you're kind of helping her up, and as you're kind of talking to her, you kind of see her. She'll like touch one of her hands to the center of her chest, and you kind of see a pulse go through it for a second, and I get to heal myself 10 more hit points.
Very nice.
And she'll just kind of look at you. She'll kind of look at you and go, "Don't worry about it. That's not. If you could believe it, that's not the first time that I've gotten knocked out, and it probably won't be the last."
Honestly,
Alright.
I'm more impressed how long it took you to be knocked out. You took some heavy shots there at the start.
Honestly, I thought the taking out the weapon, because that's a beast of a crossbow, was smart. See, I was going to Gilmore's. Maybe upgrade the armor and arms and such.
I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, I think
I thought myself
maybe,
pretty capable, and then standing next to all of you, I felt quite squishy. So
we could upgrade the protection a little bit. That might be nice.
By the way, the trident trick, what exactly was that?
Oh, that was tasty.
And when she gets knocked out, it kind of it blinks itself out. In the moment that you say that, she kind of giggles to herself a little bit and brings it back out. And she kind of looks at it for a second, and then kind of looks at you and goes, "Consider it a gift. Consider it a gift from a friend."
A gift from a friend. Huh.
Well, the boost was. Me and the weapon have a history.
Well, I'm very curious.
And then after she says that, she'll kind of blink it out. She goes, "I don't like to carry it around much. I think the skin and the overall," and she'll kind of gesture to all of her. It's kind of shocking enough, and then walking around with the giant sticking out
No,
of your
that's
back.
fair.
as well.
That's fair.
It's
if
a
I
real quick
might-
way to get yourself followed around town.
That is
I'm
true.
a little jealous. I actually bought a mundane trident just because I wanted to learn how to use one. I'd like to, if you know how, I'd like you to teach me how to use the trident with one hand and the net in the other. If you know that style of fighting.
Oh, absolutely.
If I might ask, can you do that with other weapons or just that one?
I could. How to say this? I'm kind of attached. And then she'll kind of pop it out again. And for the first time you see her kind of hold it in two hands across her body and kind of look at it. When I say that this weapon and I have a history, and kind of looks at the rest of you, well, I guess I'm going to be sticking around for a while, so you should know. The family that I was talking about kind of left without saying anything. And this was kind of one of the only things that I took with me, and kind of looking at the trident, looking at everything, and she just kind of like looks down for a second and is like, it wasn't mine to begin with, it was more so my brother's, and I lost him not too long ago, actually. And so this is kind of one of the only things that I had left of him. So when I left, I could only think to take it with me, or anything else, anyway.
Hmm.
Then along the way, I met some. She kind of chuckles. She goes, along the way, I kind of met somebody that, I don't know, believed in me more than I believed in myself. And then when I had the choice of what to take with me, all I could think of was this.
I understand. At least I think I do. Can you do other things like that? Or is that more of a one magic trick you know very, very well? Impressively.
What, popping it out and popping it back in again?
Mm-hmm.
That, hilariously enough, is kind of a recent development. And she'll kind of look around, not wanting to hit any of you. She's like, is there, like, a rock or something that I can, you know...
You can do it to me. It's fine.
Alright. And she'll kind of look at everyone else, kind of like, you might want to take a couple steps back.
Sure.
And so she'll kind of walk out.
I know what you're doing. That's good.
She'll kind of walk over, and she goes back to holding it in one hand, and you can see, like, in her other hand, she kind of makes a motion, and I don't know if this is how the spell works. This is kind of like the flavor that I imagined in my head. But you kind of see, like, lightning start arcing up. You can see it especially on the wooden handle, but it starts arcing up all the way up the blade, and then she kind of, like, tips it forward, grabs it in both hands, and then very gently thrusts it forward. And as soon as it makes contact with you, you hear this giant clap of thunder.
Oh.
I don't know if you want me to roll damage for it.
Yeah, you can if you want to.
Are you whipping this man with an Eldritch Smite, or what's happening?
That's just mean. Oh gosh, where is it? D10, and then... Oh gosh, how many is it? I think it's...
We all approve of using thunder and lightning against Arvog. He deserves it.
Right? I was just about to say, why is it always lightning?
9 plus 2 is 11 plus 4 is 15. You get hit with 15 points of damage.
Ooh, nice.
And then kind of
She tasers you. Sorry, falls to the ground.
Yeah.
Kind of while we're in the spirit of doing things, if you could also hold up, let me pull it up to make sure that I have the right DC. If you could also make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Yeah.
You can make it. You can choose to fail it. To see what happens, it's up to you.
Oh, I will. You know what? I did roll it. I was going to choose to fail it, but I only got a 10 anyway, so I'm guessing I fail. So what happens?
That fails anyway. So you kind of like, she hits you a little bit, and then she kind of gives a little extra shove at the end, and you fall prone.
Nice. All right.
So fittingly, you have.
So I did get tased. Yeah, I did get tased. Nice.
And then
In the face.
Yeah, and so she'll walk over to you and kind of help you up. I just go, I'm sorry, it really only works with an active participant. It's not really one of those demonstrations you can just do on anything.
No, that's fantastic. I'm glad we got to see it. Seems useful.
And then just to
And
warn you, before and she holds her hands out in front of her before you move, and she kind of just goes, just so you know, I am sorry, I can't choose when it happens. It just does. As soon as you move, it's gonna shock you again. And by now you kind of notice, depending on what armor you have on, like there is still actively lightning like arcing across your body.
Right. Awesome.
And so I mean, you can choose to take a step if you want.
Yeah.
So
No,
as soon as
that's-
you,
I think you should take a step and explode. I want to see what happens.
For science, you like
Yeah,
take a step
alright.
back, and then there's this like boom,
Boys.
pop, as like thunder like explodes off of that lightning, and you're just like, poof, like just get
yeah.
hit by a
So
thunderclap.
as soon as you move, you take another 8 points of damage. I did not mean to roll
Nice.
so well. I am so sorry.
No, that's great. It's fantastic. That is very impressive. I have a sneaky suspicion, based on a little history, that the Storm Lord would approve.
So, I mean, I can do that. There are a couple other things I can do. Like I said, the snapping it back into existence, that is a relatively new trick of mine, I will admit.
Would you say that you can cast magic of the kind?
To varying degree. I definitely can't bring anybody back to life or anything, but I mean, I can do that. I could hit you from a little bit farther away. I just prefer to be a little closer. I can make sure you don't die immediately.
Excellent. And there's no need to undersell me. I'm extremely impressed already. I'd love to learn more, frankly.
I mean, and I guess explaining it would do a little bit to help. So like I mentioned, I grew up as a privateer, like you said. But some things happened back home and I ended up leaving and found myself trying to find a new purpose in life. And so I left Wildmount, definitely not to hide from my family in any way. Set on a ship bound for here. Turns out you can't trust everybody with access to a ship in the captain's hat. We ended up north. And by north, I mean Whitestone North. And by Whitestone North, I mean the captain decided to take us through the Shearing Channel north. I don't know how well versed all of you are with it, but safe to say, there's Lethal, and then there was that channel. And so I can't say for sure that I didn't die. I can say for sure that I woke up alive with all of my faculties intact. Ended up coming to on a beach. No one else was there. I'm assuming everyone else died. I can't imagine anyone else making it through it. Like I said, I breathe water for a living, and I still had a real tough time. So came to, found myself on the business end of what, thinking about it now, was a giant wolf for no reason. Should have been scared out of my wits. Couldn't tell you why I wasn't. But near as I could figure, he was magic enough. Had my trident in his mouth. Came to some weird sort of agreement to protect people. And then walked through the woods for a little bit. Got to Whitestone. Asked around for a while. Ended up finding out that giant wolf that I met in the woods was somewhat of a local legend. And then, I mean, I got tired of being up in the mountains and north where it was cold and freezing and, you know, the near dying part. So when I found people that were headed towards a coast of some kind, hitched a ride and came here.
Glint's just taking notes at this point. So you met a giant magic wolf north of Whitestone. I think I have a cousin in Whitestone. Now, I am fascinated by this for a list of reasons, and this wolf gave you mystical powers, effectively.
I'd imagine that's where they came about.
Right, mystical wolf powers. All right, interesting.
I will tell you guys what. If any of your the war veteran members of the Aurora Concordant wants to roll a history or religion check
I would
to
love
see
to.
if they've ever heard of magical wolves in Whitestone granting superpowers.
That's a 26.
Damn. Which did you roll out of curiosity?
That was history for Glint.
Yeah. Always history with Glenn.
I can go religion if you want. It's just Glint's religious
No.
experience is mostly flavored through the lens of a cult experience.
Of course. Yeah, you're good. Anybody else?
18
Yvain?
for history.
18.
Yvain rolled religion, and it is a 20.
20.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Ember, you thought it was more like rumors and myth, nothing that you really put your mind to, but you pretty much heard that. There was like, and you heard one sailor who runs northern mercantile stuff, like, I saw this wolf howling at the moon, and it was like this huge one. You're like, yeah, whatever. The story kind of pops to your brain. You're like, oh yeah, I think I remember something about like a giant lone wolf running around that area. Yvain, you have heard, you don't know the specifics, but you have heard that, like, and this is a very niche having heard of it, but you being a Vox Machina enthusiast, you heard that, like, at one point they ran into this, like, legendary wolf that was, like, yeah, had magical powers, and something about that. But it's Glint who really gets the minutiae of it. You are aware of Goldrick the Moonlit Wolf, who was, back in the Calamity, the steadfast companion of the Champion of Ravens, and fought at his side, the Champion of Ravens being known as Pavon Soul. And this was considered, he kind of had a rep that you guys give Fen, just this, like, incredible, like, annihilating, like, dangerous animal companion of this Champion of Ravens. This, even for being a wolf, was celestial in nature, had magic to it. And you have heard myth tell that Goldrick now roams the woods of Archwood these last couple decades, being sort of a divine messenger of the Raven Queen of sorts, a sort of silent defender in the nights of the Parchwood Timberlands. Very mysterious entity, very powerful, and cool.
You met Goldrick.
I think that was his name. I mean, when I got to Whitestone, I met the Grey Wardens. They were surprised that I made it through the woods by myself and they didn't run into me. And that sounds like the name of what they said I ran into when I told them. But they also definitely kind of laughed at me and said that I probably just hallucinated and wandered through the woods for a little bit.
That's probably exactly what happened. Yeah, the wolf didn't talk to you at any point, but then you got to town, and yeah, they're like, "Oh, you saw him." Some people maybe believe it's
Interesting. I could probably stay up all night asking you questions about this. I'm mostly curious about the procedural implications therein of what that connection is like, of what all you can do. You don't have to answer questions if you don't want to, though. I can definitely be a little bit nosy sometimes, and I have a great many intrusive thoughts at almost all hours, so always feel free to close the door, as it were, with me.
I mean, I'll answer what I can. Like I said, I got used to fighting on a ship in close quarters. The whole magic thing is real new to me, so you probably know some things that I ain't even figured out yet.
Well, if you ever want help practicing the arcane end of things, assuming this is even arcane spellcraft and not something divine, given its origin, I'd be happy to spend some time with you on that.
I'd like to learn not to accidentally shock myself. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, that's always important. Even whenever you're mastering, say, a shocking grasp or a lightning bolt, if you're not careful, the static will just mess up your whole day.
At which point, as you guys kind of Glint and Qiro sort of talk shop, talk shop. Maybe Ember, Zarval, and Nix slowly backed away to go begin their errands. And you guys can tag along to catch up, and we will check in with the hunts for the Fire Ashari and the trip to Gilmore's, and we'll have our delve next week. So I would recommend everybody, make up a plan for what they want to do with the stuff in their bags. We will be very strict with container storage capacity. Just because you have the carrying capacity doesn't mean you have the pockets to carry it. So make sure you pack lots of sacks. But we will be a little strict with our capacity rules next session, but we will do for a delve for fortune, fame, glory, and the protection of the realm. And thanks for playing, and we hope you had a great time, our wonderful new player. I hope you had an excellent time.
Welcome to
welcome aboard.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I'm going to be so honest. I did not think hawking that trident was going to